And we're back another Wednesday here to talk about hounds, mules, and everything in between, except most of the time it's everything in between. Every time I edit and I listen, I'm like, man, we're just not talking about nothing. We just bounce around.
Got to keep us on track.
Well, that's no fun. On track's no fun.
Yeah.
So, and I hope Jared gets on. He's probably more primitive than the rest of us, hunting on foot, no water, no no supplies. Have you hunted with him?
No, actually,
Oh,
never.
lucky one. I didn't either. I stayed away from him. I did the opposite side of the hill and
Shut door,
ran
please.
around. So
Yeah.
I figured we'd talk about modern hunting. You know, I got in a conversation. That's why I got in a conversation with the guy about modern hunting and primitive hunting. I told the guy, I said, I wish they'd just take it back to primitive. Then we'll see who the real hunters are. You know,
Yep.
no range finders, no scopes, longbow or ball and cap and ball, I guess. You know,
I've got some in the. Well, I don't have a longbow, but I got a cap and ball
yep.
muzzle loaders there in the safe.
Uh-oh. They got enough signatures.
Yeah. I found that out. I don't know, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We're gonna be fighting it all the way.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, and out of all those signatures, here goes our rabbit hole. But out of all those signatures, those probably, I would bet you 60% of those people don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
If you sat them down and told them what was going on, they probably wouldn't have signed it. But they don't. They got a car salesman out there saying, hey, we need to help, preserve wildlife. They don't, they just get them to sign it. So
the old save the links bullshit.
that's exactly what it is. The lynx, the jaguar, the cheetah.
Got to save the American cheetah. Oh wait, sorry, it's been extinct for 15,000 years.
Yeah. Forgot to send a link over here. Let me see here. Oh, let me find my link here real quick. Make sure all my links are sent out. I ought to get Benny on here to talk some crap about that Initiative 91. I don't know. I didn't think they're going to get enough signatures. Oh, there's Jared. I didn't think they're going to get enough signatures.
Well, but they had to hire 2 companies to gather signatures because they weren't getting near enough. So.
Yep. Crazy. But I mean, as bad as it is, they'll just slowly chop away. A beaver don't take down a tree in one day.
No.
So, yeah, that's no fun now. But keep fighting away, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what their next. I have to get Dan Gates on and see what their next plan of attack is.
I imagine they're going to start the whole putting out ads, putting out flyers, whatever, YouTube shorts, and yeah.
Well, so donate, people. Apparently, the Initiative 91 is going to go to the ballot, and people are not very intelligent right now in this country.
Well, what they need to talk about is what happens after you take away the lion hunt. They need to talk, lions are still going to die, except now they're going to be either by a snare or some other dude running dogs.
Yep.
And then they're just going to shoot him and
Government
leave him
tracking.
under the tree.
Yeah.
That's
Red
what
zone.
you
Take
should
'em.
say.
Or the government's just going to take them and then put them in an incinerator.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
leave
then
them.
eventually they're going to kill even more than what was harvested
Yeah.
during season, because now they have no fear of humans. So there's more negative interactions.
Yep.
I
You hear
wonder if
about
there's
that?
any information in or any documentation in California over,
All they document are the human interactions. They don't document any
Livestock.
depredation for livestock or pets, or they don't even document like aggressive lions. It's just
do,
only attacks.
do they document when they have to go out and remove a lion one way or another? They don't. That's bullshit. That's just
Exactly.
lying. That's just
It's
lying.
been 10, 12 years that I had inquired with Fish and Game, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, about that, and they're like, no, we don't keep that. And I asked them why not, and it's all via email, and they never replied back.
And
It's crazy.
well,
Just don't answer.
Yeah. And I heard at one point, now this is just people probably just BSing because I got buddies that live in California, but they said one year they killed like over 200 lions.
I believe
In
it.
California.
In California, they killed over 200 problem lions.
And they pay somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Guess how much they pay per lion on average?
I don't know. What do they
No
pay?
clue.
$7,000, I heard.
Wow.
I
you
don't
gotta
doubt
think-
it.
You got to think they're probably day paying the guy. For however long he's out. Say it's what would you charge? If your own dog, your
diem.
fuel, you're probably charging the state $400 or $500 a day to drive
minimum.
around.
In California, I charge a lot more than that.
Yeah, and
Oh
then
yeah.
and then probably throw a bounty on top. All right, I killed it. Now $5,000. Just put a $5,000 bounty.
Yeah. Exactly.
They got enough signatures on that 91, Brett.
That's what I seen. I was listening to y'all earlier.
Yep. Crazy.
So where does it go now? What happens now?
Man, I don't know. I'm sure they have to fight it at the polls, I'll have to get Dan Gates on and have him tell us what's going on. So
it's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of bummer news.
Yeah.
But there is a bunch of libtards over there in Colorado, so.
Well, the only bad part is right now, all the they're not libtards, but all the antis, their money's separated in 5 different states. You got the Four Corners and then Nevada. They're not really hitting Idaho or Montana or Wyoming right now. Well, once they get rid of Colorado, now that Colorado money gets, instead of being separated 5 ways, is separated 4 ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what sucks.
Have they came after you in Nevada at all? Rowdy, have they
go
done
after the
anything in
Bears.
Nevada?
They go after the Bears.
Yeah, they hit the Bears pretty heavy. It's that Bear Defense League, that crazy broad up there in Tahoe Basin. Yep.
Huh.
Nevada almost lost a bear hunt a couple years ago. It got shot down 6-3. And
It's got to be some way to change things where the people from the city can't make the decisions for everybody who lives out in the country, rural type people. Basically that's what it is. It's people who don't know any different, and they've got their feelers stuck way out there, and the sympathy, and they hear about all this cruelty to animals and stuff, and they don't understand. They've never been around animals.
Right.
Hit a college.
It varies by states, because like here in Nevada, I guess the Constitution states that the animals belong to the public, so instead of the state, you know. So I think that would be a bigger fight in states like Nevada than states like New Mexico and Arizona, where I don't know what your guys' constitution says if the
I don't
wildlife
know.
belongs to the public or not.
I think
But
Arizona, it's wildlife officials.
yeah,
I think because of what happened in 2018 when they tried getting on the ballot in Arizona and everyone got real nervous. I think they switched it. I think I could be talking.
Well, there's a way to do it where the state regulates everything. You
Yeah,
have to get
and I
that
think
in the
Arizona.
legislature.
I think Arizona put that through. It has to be the state has to, like, biologists or whoever has to say something before it happens. Maybe, I don't know.
yeah. So we need to figure out how to stop the governor from putting gag orders on all the employees of the game and fish department.
Yeah.
So anytime that there's like in Oregon and Colorado right now, right? No biologist in the state is willing to speak out publicly because the governor put a gag order on the entire department saying if you speak about this in a pro hunting stance, you will be fired.
Well,
And
that's
exactly. It's literally tying the hands of the people that are supposed to be managing the wildlife, tying their hands behind their back, and then saying that they can't, putting a gag order on them and not allowing them to manage the animals correctly.
Well, they say science-based management or something that they're supposed to use, but they won't.
Well,
you guys have depressed me. I think I'm going to leave.
We just pissed Brett off right from the get-go. This one who started this? It was actually, I'm going up and blaming.
Was it Tim or Jeremy?
Robert Chase. Robert Chase did it.
I'm going to go in there and yell at my wife for a little while.
Good job, Robert.
You're going to come back with a black eye.
Yeah, if I can come back at all.
Well, it's a sad deal. Nothing we can do about it now except, be proactive for it and
throw money at it.
Don't I tell you now? I mean, I'm sure they're gonna. Oops, messing everything up here. I'm sure they're gonna need it now more than anything. So
yeah,
if you guys want to donate some money, because I guess it could be kind of a silver lining if they can beat it at this level. Then a little bit of a stronger of a fight. So it might.
Well, I had a message here. Let me see if I can find it. There's another. What's his name? Wayne Bisbee. He said he has a puppy. He will donate to be auctioned off. Also.
Oh yeah, he's coming. Man, it's going to turn into a. We're going to give New Mexico Hound and Mules. I might have to hire an auctioneer.
Is that going to be at the
Hound Rendezvous?
Hunters Rendezvous?
Yeah. August 25th. Dylan.
This is his message to me. I hope it's all right to share this.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, for him. There you go. All proceeds go to Save the Hunt, Colorado.
Yep.
100%.
I think this rendezvous is going to turn into a bash the antis.
Well, and I kind of envisioned it when we were first talking about it as like an old-fashioned, rendezvous. If you bring some dogs, trade, hey, I like, what I mean? And if you've got something to sell, bring it and sell it, or you know what I mean? Just an old-fashioned rendezvous type deal.
Heck yeah.
I thought that would be cool. Sit around the campfire and tell lies.
Yep.
Never done that.
Maybe even drink a shot of whiskey. Smoke a pipe.
Yeah, I'm bringing the whiskey.
I know.
Ed Barnes and Chris Powers sipping on the whiskey last night. So on their live, it looked like they was drinking quite a bit.
Man, I if I ever got to drinking whiskey on any of my lives, somebody needs to turn me off because I'm bad enough without it.
Yep.
Uh-oh. What's up, guys? Come on. Somebody speak up. I got to go.
Well,
I was reading. I'm getting a bunch of texts about it now.
About what? Colorado?
You're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Text.
California, Colorado.
Yeah.
Didn't you want to talk about primitive and modern hunting?
Yeah.
Or was it hunting or hound hunting?
Everything. Whatever.
Well,
I mean, if you're gonna go,
hound hunting is one of the most primitive forms of hunting. How long has it been used? Right? It predates archery. It predates the atlatl, or however you pronounce that. Atlatl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it predates that. Right? So we've got pictures of guys hunting with, clubs and what do you call those? The little sticks they would throw, right?
Boomerang.
It's not a club.
Boomerang.
Well, like boomerangs, right? But it's a stick, and it's got one end's weighted, one end, or it's thicker on one end than the other, like a club. But it's designed for throwing, and
my wife has one of those
for like bashing, birds and rabbits.
Yeah.
Yep.
From short ranges. So it predates the any modern weapon, including the longbow. So, like, literally, we've got it painted on caves from 15,000 years ago, which predates.
I'll be dang. Yeah, that's true.
Any
good
modern weapons.
And that goes into the whole fair chase thing too. That's what's crazy about it, is we've been using it for thousands and thousands of years, and they're still on our ass about fair chase. And that's where it goes. That's why I was talking to a guy about primitive, and I said, man, just take it back to primitive then, if everybody's worried about it. Long bows and muskets. So
yeah,
I'm not opposed to that.
I always laugh at those. It's usually some freaking retard hunter that makes those comments. Using dog is cheating, and it's like come follow me and the dog's in the dirt on a dog savvy lion, and we'll go 17 miles one way on foot because I'm stupid and don't have stock yet. And
you're just not old enough yet.
Yeah. We'll go 17 miles one way and still not even look at that thing. And then go home after dark. And you're going to tell me that's not fair chase?
Right.
Yeah. Or end up sleeping on the side of the mountain out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get on some of those dog savvy lions, man, and you ain't catching it. That lion will not be caught. We had a lion this year, we had it jump by 8 in the morning. I pulled the dogs off at 5:30 that night. We just weren't catching them. He'd do some trick in the rocks, and I'd freaking hold the dogs up for 30 seconds a minute, and that's all he needed.
Yeah, now he's 300 yards out of there.
Oh, yeah. And then, then he does another
sprint.
Then that line does another trick. Now instead of being right up his butt, now you're a minute behind. Then you're 2 minutes behind. Then you're 6 minutes behind. And then it goes, then you're just effed.
And he's trotting in between the whole time.
Jared just keeps going and going.
I try. Sometimes I wish I had a rifle on those ones I can see running.
Scoped rifle, yeah. I had an old man tell me one time he said, if you're going to be hunting out here in this desert, he said, you need to get a scoped rifle. He said, so you can carry it. And he said, you can shoot those lions out in front of those dogs.
Oh, I bet.
I did. I seen that female up there on the mountain. She wasn't in front of the dogs. She was watching the dogs. She was off 100 yards off where they were trailing. And she was just sitting over there watching them.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I looked, and I thought that was one of my dogs. I thought, ah, dang. And then I looked and I seen that tail come up, and I said, that's a lion.
Yep. I had a hunter. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We were hunting, and that line, we trailed this line all day, and we're sitting across a canyon and we're watching the dogs trail underneath this rock ledge. And that hunter, he yells, he's like, "There's the lion." And it's like 40 feet above the dogs, just sitting there watching the dogs trail underneath of them. And the dogs started going up and around the rock cropping. And as soon as the dogs went up and around the rock cropping, just halfway up, that lion took off and started trotting again. We never caught him. Closest we got was 300 yards. Closest we got was 300 yards and him watching the dogs.
Catching his breath.
Yeah.
He already caught his breath at that time.
Yeah, he was just sitting there watching the dogs see what they were going to do. And then once they made their move, he did his. You know,
I haven't had enough on the rocks to be able to watch that. So I can't wait to be able to watch that. Watch them get outfoxed.
It's fun. It's fun. And then you see a lion go off a steep rock bluff where it does it gracefully and your dogs are trying to figure out how to do it. Then I start freaking out. I'm like, "Get back, you assholes. Don't jump off that thing."
Yeah,
break a leg.
That's killed more dogs than any lion is falling off of bluffs.
Well, I got one dog that's an idiot. If he's on a rock ledge and I call him, he won't take the long way around. He'll jump 15, 20 feet off a rock ledge and just tumble into a dirt pile. Yeah, so when I call him, I literally have to go up and around to get on the ridge and call him that way off a rock ledge. He's just an idiot. I mean, he's really good in the bluffs, but he's an idiot.
Just has too much confidence.
Yeah, way too much.
He hasn't been hurt yet, maybe?
Well, last year remember when I called you and I said I needed rope?
Yeah.
I called him. Yeah, I caught that lion on a rock ledge, and there's like a 10-foot gap between this one rock and where the dogs in the lion, or where he was and the lion was. All the other dogs were back 20 feet where I was, and that other dog jumped that gap with the lion and was in that lion's face, and I was like, I can't get to him. Like, Chris is going to have to lower me down, and I'm going to have to scale back up to get to him. And he ended up falling 20-some feet, that lion threw him. But he made it. He nothing, no harm, no nothing. It was a blessing.
I got a video. It's not public that of a lion and the dog falling probably over 100 feet.
Oh.
I mean, it was terrible. Yeah.
Scary stuff.
Them blood.
I don't lie. Just get close to them. It scares me now to death. I hate to see them.
When my dogs fell down that dang mine shaft, I was worried so much. I just knew they were dead. I was just so thankful that they were both alive and they're up and moving. Right? Not even a broken leg or anything, just bruised, of course.
A little sore.
Yeah. They had the next week off, because I had to go back to work.
Oh yeah. Rowdy, do you know where Eastgate is?
Oh yeah.
So I caught a lion in Eastgate on this rock ledge. You know, it's all that nasty, real bluffy country. And my Mo dog was up there, and the hunter and everyone comes around, and we see the dogs and the lion are all backed up against the bluff. And that lion grabs my Mo dog and throws him. And you just see him paddling in the air. And I'm like, shit, he's dead. And the bluff was sloped kind of like this where it came out. And I think he tumbled more than he fell once he hit.
Just enough to absorb that impact and slow him down. Yeah.
Because I thought he was dead. Like the way he started paddling and everything in the air, I was like, he's dead. And that lion went off the same way Mo did, just gracefully, and picked his rocks and everything. Because once the lion grabbed Mo and threw him, all the dogs rushed that lion. And we go down, and we're trying to get down and go up. I had a couple buddies go up and try to get dogs and lower them down and get them around. And all of a sudden, my handheld starts barking treed. Mo's treed. And I'm like, well, he's dead, so he ain't moving, obviously. And then it starts telling me Mo's barking like 80 barks a minute or 60 or whatever it was set at. We go down and around. He had that lion caught by himself at the bottom.
Oh, shit.
God.
I couldn't believe it.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
my.
all worked out, but yeah. We just said he's a big old dairy built cow, you know.
Brett was telling.
He's just a big old fat hound. He's not real muscular build. He's kind of built like a dairy cow with a sag in the back and everything. And I just say it's because he's fat. It's the only reason he lived. He just had so much fat to absorb everything.
It's cushion.
He had
Yep.
protection. Cool.
Brett was telling me a story today how he hadn't seen no rattlesnakes at all.
And you
Oh,
juiced
yeah.
it.
Remember that
I was
story?
sitting there telling him, I said, man, I said, you know what I've noticed is I usually just right here by my kennels, I'll kill, 4 or 5 rattlesnakes in a year.
Oh,
And
wow.
then out and about, I'll kill, I don't know, 10, something like that. And I've killed, before I talked to Chris this morning, I'd only killed 1. But I've noticed that there's a ton of cottontails this year too. There's cottontails everywhere. So I think the lack of rattlesnakes has helped the cottontail population. But right as I was telling Chris this, I just dumped the dogs out of the box. I was just taking them up this arroyo to exercise them. And
chasing them cottontails.
dang old rattlesnake right there in the brush right there next to us.
Yeah.
I got him though.
There you go. Now, did you get a lot of rain last monsoon season?
Not last. We got pretty good rain this monsoon season.
Because they say if you have a really good your year prior, if you had a really good monsoon season the year prior, your rattlesnake hatch will be higher. More water means more rattlesnakes.
Oh, we didn't have a very good one last year at all, but this year we had a good one.
My yard's flooded right now. So.
Are you getting rain down there?
Oh yeah.
I see a storm coming this way. I see a storm coming this way.
But because last year, out glassing for coos deer in August, I think I killed 20 in August and September.
Dang. That's like my best year ever.
Well, I'm going to a ranch tomorrow up here where it's as snaky as any place I've ever been before. Matter of fact, I usually avoid it until about, the end of November. So, but I got to go up there and look at some things. And I just talked to the guy, just sent him a message. I said, have you been seeing many snakes? He said, about the usual. So me and him drove around one time. This was back when we were drinking beer. We drive around up there. And I bet in 2 hours of driving around on that ranch, we probably killed 6, 7 rattlesnakes. I mean, they're just thick. And that's when I told the story before. That's when he shot me in the arm. He shot, there's a little beer involved. And there was a rattlesnake climbing over the side of the road, and he got out on the passenger side and laid his rifle over the hood. And I'm sitting there with the window rolled down. My arm hung out the window, and he shot it hit a rock and ricocheted and went in my arm.
Oh, shoot.
I know. I said, you shot me, dude. No, I didn't. I was aiming over there. I said, no, look, I had blood running down my arm.
Dang.
But the lead was just barely underneath the skin. It just gone right in the muscle right there a little bit.
Oh, man.
I got a scar right there. But
enough to say you've been shot.
Oh, it's enough. I say, well, I got shot one time. I don't want to tell the story. It's too emotional.
Was he shooting a 22 or something?
Yeah, 22. Yeah, and it just ricocheted off. And it wasn't the whole, it was a piece of lead that just went in me.
Yeah.
But you could have been an eyeball or something too.
Oh, yeah. like that dude with shooting that 50 cal at a steel plate.
Oh, and the ricochet.
Yeah, it takes his earmuffs off.
Jeez, I didn't see that.
So lucky.
I was thinking
of it ways out too. It wasn't like he was shooting 20 yards out. It was long enough that he got off the gun and sat back up, and he goes, pow.
The Trump effect.
You can hear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pew, and you hear it smack him or smack the earmuffs.
Yeah. The Trump effect.
Well, I was just thinking about that today, how close for a bullet to whiz by your head. That close. Well, I mean, just an inch one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're done. So
I won't get nothing into that. Never mind.
Yeah, I've seen my dad watches the news, so when I come in, I see everything. I'm trying to like edit video or something,
Yeah.
and I see, they got all this new video of all the guy walking on, like, plain as day, walking on from behind Trump.
Yeah.
Someone had a camera, and the guy's just like walking around over there, and I'm like, it's kind of weird. So
I was listening to like
I don't know.
a little short clips of like the court hearing when they're interviewing like the head of operations for Secret Service and everything. They're so incompetent.
Dude, it's horrible.
That court hearing
lady
was
that wasn't
frustrating
charged
to listen to.
Yeah, she stepped down.
And that guy, that head of the FBI, that guy's a regular jerk. I mean, he's an arrogant bastard.
The new one or the old one?
The guy they had on tele, I didn't know which one it was. It was the one that was on there, and they were asking him questions. Got kind of the regular, cop hair.
Yeah, I think he's the new interim director.
So they were asking him questions, and he's just kind of arrogant, Of course, and then I don't like those senators either. A bunch of self-important, pompous bastards. Boy, you guys have got me in a bad mood today.
Well, hey, what's this? Can you
That's
trade
what I
your
said.
wives at the rendezvous? Asking for a friend.
Is there a bring back policy for that?
First,
can you trade wives at the rendezvous? Asking for a friend.
All trades final.
All trades are final.
Yeah.
If you take her, you got to keep her, dude.
No return policy.
That's good.
You are going to get Brett all flustered. Yeah.
It drives me crazy. I listened to that somewhere. I guess it was on YouTube or something when they were interviewing that FBI guy, and he just get mad. Of course, the senator or congressman or whoever it was that was talking to him, he was arrogant too.
Yeah, they talked down to him intentionally to make it, and like inflame the situation.
Yep.
Yeah, and they try to look important because it they know they're going to have that little sound bite and that clip that's showing them.
I was hard.
I'm a tough guy.
Yeah. But then again, 10 minutes after the hearing was done, they were out having coffee in the break room,
slapping each other on the back. Oh, you did a good job.
Yeah, you look good out there, Bob.
Yeah.
You really got me on that one. You really got me on that one.
That was a good one.
Wait till the next break.
They pull it up on their phone. They're both watching at the same time.
Yep.
See who got the more views.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, enough of that politics stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey,
I don't know how we always get into it.
Going back to primitive and modern hunting, did you see what? I can't remember his first. Mike Kemp. What he posted on Facebook today with that long range antenna? He had his dogs marking treat on his long range antenna that you can hook up to your pickups, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
And it was marking his dog's treat at 3.4 miles. And he's in Oregon. That is awesome. I mean, I usually can't keep a dog.
I agree with Kim. Sorry.
Yeah. Term limits. I've
oh yeah.
I mean, here in Nevada, of course, you can get down in the valley and get ways out, but I think my average is probably about a mile and a quarter is what connectivity I get. Unless they get off into the bottom of the next canyon.
Yeah.
And then it's as soon as they go over that hill and get more than like a quarter way down, I start losing service.
And another thing I noticed is, do you guys all run the new alphas? Like what are
I
they?
do.
300s, 200s, 300s?
I got the 200 and the 300.
I got the 100, 200, and I don't like the 200.
I run the 10.
Alpha 10?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He does run the 10.
It just gives you the direction of your dogs, and that's it. It doesn't give you maps,
Points
anything.
And Jared goes. Period.
That's why
we lost him. There he is. He came back. He just switched positions with me.
You just mentioned the 10.
Excuse me.
You off.
And those little alpha 10s, I can go about 2 to 3 tenths. I can pick up dogs 2 to 3 tenths a mile farther than a 200 or a 300.
The farthest I've gotten on my 220 was 17 miles, and I lost a dog, and I climbed up on a hill to see where it was. And when I was up on that hill, I got a phone call. It said, "I have your dog." And right as I was talking to this lady, who, of course, the dog was in the road and going to get killed by a car. But as soon as it picked up, and it was 17 miles away in Lakeside, I was over in like Vernon, but I was up high enough, I think. And I don't know if it's maybe her phone threw a signal too or helped. I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. It may have transmitted through the phone.
It might have.
I've heard of people being able to do that with like your clicker for your cars.
I've tried that. It don't work.
Oh, but I've heard of people doing it and it worked. So,
but my
guys,
220,
I'm gonna have to bug out. Thank you.
You guys pissed them off. Good job, guys.
All right.
bunch of brainwashed idiots. That's my new slogan.
Is that your new I'm leaving?
That's my goodbye.
Don't even say you have to leave. Just say you're a bunch of brainwashed idiots and just shut it off. Period.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Thank you.
All right.
Robert Chase, can you legally kill a lion or bear with a spear?
Do you guys remember that guy who killed the bear with a spear? And as a football player or something.
Yeah.
And they made a ridiculously big deal about it.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. You have your legal method it takes, and if it's not a legal method to take, it's a ticketable offense, So,
So the stupid part is I'm not saying you should be able to kill a lion or bear with a spear, but
I think you should.
I think you should too.
I'm not against it.
Absolutely.
But it goes both ways with the antis. It goes, rifle hunting's cheating because you can shoot them from 400 yards away. Okay, but then you say, all right, I'll use a bow or a spear. Well, now you're crippling it for a minute or 2 minutes or whatever, and it's just which one do you want?
An arrow.
No, they're just gonna say the most negative aspect of whatever the method is. They don't care that what's ethical or not. They're just trying to find a negative, way to portray what you're doing.
Well, and he's right. And the states are outlawing it because it's inhumane.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a head of a spear? It's
some of them are friggin'.
Well,
it's the size of my hand. It's cutting a hole the size of my hand wide.
Well, and that guy who did the spearing of the bear, wasn't that like a 45-pound spear? Like he just dropped it? Or?
Yeah, he just dropped it. And
it's heavy.
It's a 40. Yeah.
So there's a guy named Tim Wells on YouTube. Yeah. Tim Wells bow hunting and spear hunting. He hunts all over. I think he goes up to British Columbia or Canada, and he does a lot of bear hunting up there. But he's also doing it with like dart guns and bow and arrows and spears and atlatls and
Didn't Tread Barter do the same thing the hard way, the Barter way? Didn't he do that type of stuff too? Or is he just a trad bow guy? Do you remember Tread Barter on the Outdoor Channel?
I don't remember.
He was crazy. He's kind of a Ted Nugent type of character.
Ted Nugent is crazy as hell.
Yeah, he was always in your face, pointing at the camera, and he shot it. He'd always end up shooting a spike buck at like 6 feet or something.
I like that.
So if you went to primitive hunting only, you'd have a lot better hunters, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, yeah, our stalking skills would definitely improve. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, even if it was a compound bow, even if it was just archery only, some of these bows these days are, God dang, they're cammed out.
Dude, I just watched a guy today online shoot a bow at 150.
Yeah, 400 feet a second or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a dog.
There's a guy named something Bomar. He does a lot of bow hunting stuff, and he's got a new broadhead out right now. It's spring loaded, so it closes, but as soon as it it impacts, you know, and it deploys, the blades they spring out, and then they'll go through a rib and stuff, but they do collapse a little bit, and then when they get through that rib, they open back up. And so he's been out in Africa, you know, putting up a bunch of YouTube videos, about shooting, you know, Cape buffalo and kudu, impala, warthogs, giraffes. You know, he calls it the beast broadhead.
Just a mechanical broadhead, huh?
Yeah, but I think it's got a cut-on contact tip, so it's like a 1/2 inch wide little blade that goes in the front, right? So they're offset 90 degrees, and then so that cut-on contact tip hits, and then it deploys, and
See if I wonder if we can get Benny on. Probably not.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. I'll be right back.
You know, the natives, indigenous people killed stuff with atlatls and spears and, you know,
everything.
And it's more dangerous using a longbow or a spear or an atlatl, or, you know, for the person. It kind of evens it up, because a gun you can shoot as they're running at you. You know, you throw a spear at them. What do you have after that?
Your knife, if you have one tied to your leg.
If you have one. And nobody carries a big knife. I think I'm the only one that carries a big Bowie knife on me when I'm hunting.
Step I lean too far. Yeah.
But
thank you, baby.
I don't know. You go back to longbow. You know, I think what started the argument is the muzzle loaders, inline muzzle loaders. You know, it's not even a black powder no more. It's a muzzle loader, and you got a good primer on it now, not a cap. You got what is that, 209? The shotgun primer. Yeah, and they got them where they're shooting up their 500 yards.
Yeah, so there's they're literally shooting. I don't even remember who it was. They're using a Remington, Remington 700 Action, and then they're putting a different barrel on it, and then you just take and put in that bolt. It's some kind of it's special made, but it's a Remington Model 700 Action, and then they're literally shooting 800-900 yards with it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
See,
you know.
But in Arizona, you can use a scoped muzzleloader.
Yeah, not that New Mexico. They
states can
took them away.
Nevada, you can't. Nevada, it's open sight. No, it's not open. It's open sights only. I think you're allowed. If you do put a peep sight on your muzzleloader, it has to be a certain type of style of peep sight.
Yeah, and you can't even use pellets.
Yeah,
you have to use loose powder.
Oh, yeah. You know, some of those guys use smokeless powder. You just have to know how much.
Yeah, and so now some states are specifying it must be black powder, cannot be smokeless powder, and that's the thing that that Remington Model 700 Action I was talking about. It uses smokeless powder, so it's not a black powder and not a you know, the difference is the burn rates of it. It's a faster burn rate of that smokeless powder.
Yeah,
and it produces higher velocities.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful. Got to be careful with it.
Yeah,
it's dangerous.
Tim was talking about how he noticed his stalking skills got better with a bow than with his rifle. Absolutely, you know, when you're having to get in 30-40 yards, you're gonna take your time. You're gonna pick your routes. You're gonna try to play the wind. So
I've noticed since the inlines came out scoped big and the newer bows that people think, you know, you hear them, I hit a pie plate at 100 yards, but you know, what's your energy at 100 yards on a bow? So when you got an elk at 100 yards, you know, in the old days, that PSE I had at 40 yards, that thing looked like a rainbow.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
my Matthews now my like 0 to 30 pin is dang near
almost identical. Yeah,
it is.
You just know that, hey, if I'm going to shoot under 30 yards, I'm just going to,
well,
drop it
back
down
in
a
the
little bit.
day, they used all aluminum shafts too. Like
the old Easton
throwing like a
XX75
1-pound
arrow shafts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're lugging a couple ounces at that animal, back then. Now
they're shooting, they've got aluminum cord, carbon fiber wrapped arrow shafts that are like 700 grains that they're taking to Africa, and they're only like 1/4 inch thick. The profile is only 1/4 inch outside diameter, and then the insert itself, or the broadhead itself, is bigger diameter than the arrow shaft, and that's what they're using on the dangerous game in Africa. But that thing's got like an ungodly amount of kinetic energy when it hits.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody says, well, they use bows. The natives use bows, but those natives didn't try a 20-yard shot, 30-yard shot. Them natives were right there waiting.
15 yards, 12 yards.
Oh, yeah. But back then they also used to run antelope down in 95 degrees until I got tired.
That is true too.
Yeah.
Now
they knew how to hunt. They definitely knew how to hunt.
Yeah,
but that's the difference.
Do drives and push them off cliffs because it was easier.
Well, that's the difference between having the kill for a set of antlers or killing to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think they called it like the word term now is like persistence hunting, where you literally just keep pushing the animal and you don't jog after it. Well, you jog after it, but you just keep pushing that animal farther and farther in the flats till it just walks and then lays down.
Yeah, it's overheated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we sweat and they don't.
Yep.
Right. I sweat like a fat kid staring at cupcakes.
Right. Same here.
I just look where I'm going to walk and I start sweating.
Yeah.
Yep. No, there's some. I know New Mexico. I don't know if anybody else, but I know New Mexico has some primitive units. I think where you can only do archery, and Arizona has some primitive units. Like 3B. 3B is supposed to be a primitive unit, which is black powder, but they should make it primitive for everything, not just deer and elk. If it's going to be primitive, it should be archery or muzzleloader for everything. Because you can hunt bear with a rifle.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
Primitive is primitive. I don't care, that's the area for it.
Yep. So
no trail cameras, no GPS.
Well, you get into that ethical hunting or that fair case, and I've been in arguments before too on the internet where, they said it was cheating. And I was like, well, how do you hunt mountain lion? Predator calls cheating.
Yeah.
Glassing them up is cheating.
Using binoculars is cheating. Using a bow and arrow is cheating.
Rangefinder.
It's just, it's. You can make the argument for anything to be, cheating or unfair or unethical, but in reality, it's just all perception.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and it's usually one hunter mad about another hunter.
Yeah, it's usually
dogs are cheating.
Jealousy.
Dogs are cheating, but I'm using a 100-pound bow with an 85% lead off that can shoot 100 yards.
Right.
Here's the spear master himself.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! Oh, that's a nice entry.
Look, his internet's working perfect on my show. Maybe it's just Brett's.
Well, things are subject to change.
Yeah. Brett this morning said, I haven't seen a rattlesnake. Sure as he said that. Out in the distance.
Corner.
His dogs take off running, and there's the rattlesnake.
So
I was on the phone when he killed it.
You're talking about all that primitive stuff. Has anybody seen those videos of that guy that kills big game and all game in Africa and everywhere else with a spear? He gets up in a tree.
Tim Wells.
Is that who it is?
I think so. Yeah,
I
I'd
think
mentioned him
that's
earlier.
who it is. Tim Wells.
Yeah, his daughter is Sydney Wells, and she's a big time bow hunter too.
Okay.
She's a influencer on YouTube and I'm sure Instagram. She's not ugly at all.
An influencer.
She's not a. Hey,
Yeah.
if you're not ugly and you're a woman and you're an influencer, you probably got a lot of followers.
Yep.
Yeah. Just
So-
show a little thigh, a little, little cleavage.
Little cleavage.
Yep.
I've tried it.
Ooh, hey,
There we
how
go.
you doing?
There we go. We're about to shoot up here real quick.
Yep.
Holy crap. Look what Axel just asked.
What did he ask?
Krispy Kreme. You're talking about
What is a
crispy
Krispy-
boots or the donut?
Because this guy, Tim said, a fat kid walking through a Krispy Kreme.
Ah,
Dylan said, what
That's
is a Krispy? It's probably
if
the
you
most
haven't been to a
diabetic,
Krispy Kreme,
coma-causing donut.
it's heaven in your mouth.
Yeah.
They've got some that like you bite into them and they just melt. It's probably 99.9%
Yeah.
sugar and a little bit of water, but some of their donuts are just heaven.
Yeah.
They make any type of donut you want. You can order, Boston cream filled whatever,
and
They're
if
good.
you've ever
It's
been
coming.
to the Krispy Kreme factory and taken one off of the belt, oh my gosh.
still warm.
When it's right out of the oven before they put it in
Yeah.
a box, right off the
Yeah.
conveyor belt. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, we went by one this last week. I was over in Bakersfield for the family's, my wife's birthday, and we're visiting family. We went by Krispy Kreme, and I almost pulled over right there to get a dozen.
There you
But
go.
it was so
Are
hot,
they
I
really
didn't
that
even want to get out of the
expensive?
truck.
Are they really that expensive now?
I wouldn't
I
doubt
can't
they got the
say.
name.
Yeah, they definitely got the name because they
25
they
bucks
make
a
some
dozen.
amazing
I don't
donuts.
think
Though.
they're that much. Maybe
How much are
back
they?
It's probably like the
17. How
premium.
do you know what they are?
then.
My wife's like, they're not that expensive. They're like
They're not that
$17 a
expensive.
dozen.
Yeah,
She
I'm
knows.
sure
like,
that
how
was
do you
probably
know?
their premium, like bear claws and big
Yeah.
giant
Oh,
dense.
They're not that expensive coming from a Krispy Kreme addict. So what about
I wanna kill what? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, hasn't anybody ever been around anything that was killed with a spear?
No.
I haven't.
I mean, I used to spear
I've
carts
killed a lot of
when I
hogs
was
with a
kid.
knife.
That was about it.
Yeah, I think having a hog by the hind legs and trying to hold a spear and work it all the same and come out without being cut yourself that'll be a little bit risky. I've been on some of those hog deals and things are a little bit touch and go there for a little while.
Yeah. No, I hunted hogs for like 15 years, and up until the state specified that knife was not a method to take, I took advantage of that. So
On
And
hogs.
we
I was
we'd
in my
kill
20s. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we'd catch, and between us and friends, we'd kill like 70, 80 hogs in a winter, and that was majority of those were with knives before the state said explicitly stated that it's not a legal method to take.
That's a lot of chorizo.
What is their reason? What is their reason for that?
There's a
Money.
Because it's
Money.
What am I trying to think?
There's a mouse in the bathtub.
alive.
It's just
I'll be back.
Uh-oh.
He's
Daddy
getting tongue
duties.
twisted here.
He's got to go wash a mouse.
You got to go kill a mouse right now. He's
Oh,
going to go
really?
stab it with his knife.
He needs to give the mouth a bath so he'll be clean.
Yep.
I was in my 20s and I was hunting with some of the old timers in some sheep country, some summer sheep country, and one guy showed up with a spear that they built themselves, and I mean it was sharp. and they had it in sections, 2-foot sections that screwed together. So they put it behind their saddle, and we caught 3 lions that day, an old smoothmouth female and 2 2-year-old female kittens. And she was kind of just hanging around with her kittens, living off of them. And so when they killed the 2 kittens, and nobody but me saw the 3rd lion, and so the one guy was full of himself, and he said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, you stupid kid. You just counted the same lion twice." So we went over the hill and ate our sandwiches, and I had 1 dog, and I wolfed down my sandwich and I took off. And he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going back over there to find that lion." He says, "Well, you're wasting your time." Well, I found the lion. It was in a hole, a big rock up against the hillside, and there was a hole on each side where you could get in there. Well, they got all the dogs out of there and put the spear together and went to sticking that old lion. And it was my job to go in there with a flashlight, because I was the youngest and the skinniest, and see what was going on. The first time I went in from the low side and I got as far as I could, I was bumping up against the dogs, was what I thought. And I turned on the flashlight and I was face to face with that stupid lion. Oh my gosh. And I told him I couldn't crawl back and forth good. I said, "If I go to kicking my feet, you snatch me out of there. And I don't care what happens, you snatch me out of there." Well, they couldn't get a hold of me. I was kicking my feet so hard. So they got me out of there, and I went around to the other side and I had to go kind of downhill into it. And this time I kept the light going, and that lion was getting sick by then because they'd stabbed her, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And that blade was 2 feet long. It was as long as those sections. And it was probably...
They have a machete?
No, they built the spear. It was just a spear. It was like, yeah, but it was a real long blade and probably 3 inches wide. And I mean, razor sharp. And I go in there, and it's my job now to catch that lion by the foot where we could drag her out with a rope. So she was sick and she was swatting at me and growling, but I got that rope around her and I kicked my feet. They snatched me out of there. We hauled that lion out of there, and they stabbed her one last time. But some of those guys are still alive. I probably shouldn't turn them in, although I don't like them. But
especially after that day.
And I had pictures of everything on that hunt except the spear. They wouldn't let me have any of those. And then I sent my pictures to Spain. The sheep rancher wanted to send them home to his folks, and I never got another round of pictures. I paid for them and everything, the pinheads. But anyway, I've been there once with an animal getting stabbed by a spear, and it was really hard on the hide.
Oh, I bet.
I imagine. Heck yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to have a real sharp point. I think it's harder than you think to do that, and you have to hit them just right.
Oh, sure. And, it was dark, and those guys couldn't see, and they're just stabbing down there, kind of like Jerry Clowers, just shoot up here amongst us.
Let's see. Maine is 100 years. That's the country. Well,
you can still trap black bears in Maine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can use cable wrist restraints for your cables.
Yeah.
So
I want to do that one time. I want to see a trap black bear. Just one time.
I bet they're a mad son of a gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet that's you better keep out 5 foot from that ring.
Yep. I want to see, because when you catch an animal in a leg hold, they just tear a circle everything around it. For how brushy Maine and everything is, I want to see what a bear does.
Oh, I bet you they dig, they tear trees up.
I bet it's a rototiller.
It's got to look like an excavator went through there.
Yeah.
And then you can go in there like Ben Lilly and stab it.
Right?
I want to kill a bear with a knife. My brother even built me one to kill a bear with. So
I don't think I'd do that willingly.
I almost had to because it was killing my dog, and I ran in and I ran in and it turned around and ran at me, let go of the dog at least. And then I turned around to run away, thinking someone would shoot him if he caught up to me, and everybody was already gone. They say you don't have to be the fastest. You just don't have to be the slowest, right?
I had a buddy I took bear hunting in Nevada. In Nevada, is bear hunting. It gets wild because either they're walking on you all day or they're going into a cave. I mean, you can tree them. They do climb trees, but the trees are only 20 feet,
The pinions,
like a cedar tree?
Unless you hunt around Tahoe.
Yeah. And we caught this bear in a cave, and I dumped everything out I had on it. I had 12 dogs on this bear.
He's talking right now.
And
he's scared.
We caught this bear in a hole, and the hunter, he's all excited. He's got his lever gun out, and he's going to shoot this bear in the cave. And I'm like, relax. Like, there's 12 dogs in there. You're going to shoot a dog. Just let me get everyone out. So I start pulling dogs out, and his dad's leashing them up for me. I had 2 dogs left in that cave with the bear, and I go to pull Chunk off this bear's face. He's about this far from the bear. I go to grab Chunk by the collar and pull him back. As soon as I pulled Chunk away from that bear's face, that bear dropped his head and just steamrolled me and that dog.
Oh, no.
And
thank you, baby.
I go.
Don't play with it.
And I go and I lean back. I'm leaned back in the back of the cave, and the bear's legs are on top of me. And all of a sudden, he's trying to turn around in the cave because the hunter stuck his head in and closed the door off. So now I'm just freaking out, and I start yelling, "Shoot it!" And he unloaded in that thing. He must have shot like 7-8 times.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
You're lucky.
That's the only time I've borrowed a cigarette.
I think I'd had one too on that. Jesus.
Yeah. And it happens fast. That stuff happens fast.
Everything was done within 5 seconds.
The outfitter that got ate up by a bear, he was out running his dogs. I don't even remember where it was. I want to say Colorado. But he got ate up, and he ends up killing the bear with a pistol. And he ends up shooting that bear like 10 times. And a couple of the times he'd try to put the barrel. All right, you guys go away. go back in the front room. He had a misfire because he put the barrel and it up against the bear, and it took it out of battery. So therefore, the firing pin never struck the primer.
Oh, it pushed that slide back.
Exactly. So he had to rack another round, and I want to say it was like several times that happened to him.
Was that on a podcast? Wasn't that on a podcast? The guy was telling that story.
Maybe, probably Meat Eater or something.
Might have been Meat Eater. Or...
I want to say it's Meat Eater. I'm pretty sure.
And didn't he chase that bear almost like to his house or some weird spot? And then,
yeah, it was right by his house. It was like, half mile down the road from his house, and there's a pond. He's just out exercising the dogs. It's middle of summer, and Jeremiah is saying is a New Mexico outfitter. But so he got ate up and and then it had grabbed him by the calf, and then at some point they had twisted up, so its teeth had wrapped up in his calf muscles, and he had to cut the bear's jaw, they cut the bear's head off, and then rotated the head to get it off of his calf, because it had taken muscles with the 2 canines and spun them, and wrapped them up on his teeth and jaw. And it makes a heck of a story. Yeah, it was a big bear,
like 400-pound bear, wasn't it?
It may have been bigger than that. I want to say it's like 5-ish. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember all the details. I know it was a big bear, and it was going to eat his ass.
I want to say he had his 10 millimeter too. I think it was a 10 millimeter.
Yeah. And he was just trying to get the dogs off, right? So, but that bear just had enough of it.
Ah, dang.
Hey, what about all this wildlife? Let's not worry about the coyotes because they're going to thrive no matter what. But the bears and the lions and the bobcats that are becoming urban animals, and they're thriving in town.
Well, they just had a lion in a hospital in Tucson.
In the courtyard.
I was just looking at that today.
Shoot, you didn't think I could get a phone call about that?
That's what made me ask the question, because there's urban lions all over the place.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, no, we've got one right here that's been killing livestock inside Fallon city limits. It's a female with a couple kittens, people are saying.
But you
I
know
just
what?
had my neighbor. My neighbor just bumped into me, or I bumped into her. She said, "Have you seen that lion running around the house?" I said, "Well, yeah, it kind of hangs out at Ortega Mountain, and it's a female, you know." But yeah, they get
Well,
brave.
Well,
Yeah.
you get these young subadult lions that mom kicked them out, and then they go to a mountain range to go hunting, and then a tom just beats the living snot out of them.
Yep.
And they're like, "Well,
That's,
I can't hang out here." So then they travel and they end up hitting a town, and someone's goats outside just free grazing in grass.
look at that easy little meal right there.
Yeah.
Nice
But
and fat.
I haven't looked,
Yep.
but there's a news reporter from Tucson, I think Channel 13, and on her Facebook page, she talked about that lion and showed when they released it. And oh my gosh, I was reading through the bleeding heart comments over and over and over, and I finally couldn't contain myself. The antagonist in me fired up. And so I left a comment, and I said something along the lines of, they should have turned a pack of hounds on his ass to make up for him living on people's dogs in town there. In fact, I think he ate my ex-wife's cockapoo recently, and I have mixed feelings about that.
Why? Because you like the dog and not her?
So I haven't gone back on there to see how much hate mail I'm going to get over that statement, but yeah, there was a lion study, an urban lion study outside of Denver several years back. Dean Hendrickson, he was one of the regulars on Big Game Houndsman when we were all on there cutting up, and Dean was actually on that study. I called him. There was a Tom lion showed up over at Logan, New Mexico, that we saw with a collar. So I called Dean and I asked him, "Hey, where's this collared lion coming from?" And he said, "That's one of our lions right here from this urban study. It went from just outside of Denver all the way up here to Logan, New Mexico, northeast New Mexico."
That's got to be what, 600 miles?
Yeah, I would think. And that lion got poor. I don't know what happened to him, but he got poor over there on Ute Creek, and some kids knew that he was around there, and they called him in with a varmint call late one night, shining their headlights out there, and killed him in the dark. And I said, "Well, how come the Game and Fish is after me when they don't have anything on me?" And they didn't do anything to those stupid kids. And that caller tells when where he was, what happened, when the mortality signal set off, and nothing ever happened to him.
Yeah.
Well, just like this outfitter, so they get in trouble, all the time for, especially deer hunters. They glass up a lion, they shoot the lion, and then they go in town by the tag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've always wondered how much that happens, because you got deer hunters out everywhere, and somebody's going to spot a lion somewhere, and they're going to kill it.
It happens especially in southern Arizona. I mean, with all the Coues deer hunters and everything.
Yeah.
Well, they did it. This outfitter glassed up a lion. Deer hunter didn't have a tag. He called his buddies with dogs. They ran and caught it. Well, the hunter and the other guy went to town and bought a tag, and they came back and shot it. The state did nothing. But
yeah, and that's illegal now too.
Yeah,
so
but
that's literally the definition.
Up a deer hunter, but they'll pin up a deer hunter for doing it.
Yeah, that's the definition of a canned hunt nowadays.
Yeah.
Because the hunter wasn't present when the lion, when the dogs were turned loose.
Yeah. Stupid. And they put it on social media. I sent it to my buddy. I was like, "What the shit is this?"
The dumbing down of America. That's what that is.
That's what they need to do is put a date where you have to get a tag before that day. I don't know, Oregon, you have to buy your tag before opening day.
Yeah.
Well, how about if you buy your tag, you cannot just do like what Alaska does for when you fly in.
Day of you buy your tag, you can't shoot anything.
Yeah, you got 24 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours rest
In
period
Colorado,
before.
and I 100% was legal, right? So I went out there with a cow tag that I'd bought through the draw. Got there, I didn't see a single freaking cow. 2 days, I saw 17 bulls. Monday morning at 8 a.m., my skinny little butt was over there at the the Game and Parks Department, right? In
Yeah.
Glenwood Springs. I drove like 40 miles to get there. 8 a.m. Didn't even hunt that morning. Got a bull tag. Went out that afternoon. Saw bulls, but didn't get a shot. Next morning was out hunting again, and then mid-afternoon or late afternoon that next day, second day, I was able to shoot a bull. But it is nice. I'm not saying it shouldn't be legal, but it's nice that it is legal in some areas to be able to say, hey, I'm not even seeing a cow. I've got a cow tag. Because typically all I see are cows. And then being able to go to, say, like the Game and Fish Department and buy one over the counter instead of Walmart.
Yeah. As long
It's
as
better
you
to
have
buy
like
them at Game and Fish. Anyways,
You
it's
do?
better to buy your tags at Game and Fish.
Is it?
So
Yeah.
much, yeah. Because if your tags are licensed, if you lose them, you just go back there and they have them. If you
Yeah.
buy them at Walmart and lose them, you have to have the date you bought it. It's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when
I got
killed my
E-tag.
lion, I had to argue with the
E-tags.
front desk lady at Game and Fish because I filled my lion tag in March a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And, Arizona, we're only allowed one. And so I went and bought my pursuit permit, and she's like, no, you need a tag. And I'm like, no, I filled my tag. Now I just need the pursuit permit. She's
Yeah.
like, we don't have one of those. And I'm like, you do. It's on your website. Like, go to Lions, click. She's like, I don't know what that is. And I'm just like, it says $100 because I was a non-resident. I'm like, just write something on a receipt that says I have a pursuit only tag, and I'll give you $100. So yeah, I literally had a receipt that said pursuit only.
Pursuit
And that
tag.
Yeah.
I have a question for everybody out there. And maybe this will be on Monday Night Brett next week. Probably falls in that category. But what are your thoughts on if your dogs stretch and kill a lion that you didn't intend to tag?
Oh.
That goes into a lot of things, and I fear this all the time. Is when you are running, is getting a baby lion, or
Yeah.
well, a cub bear. The only time I got really, man, I was hunting with Elizabeth and our dogs. We thought we had something free to walk over there, or something on the ground. There was 15 dogs on a porcupine.
Oh God.
We were kicking and shooting. We were kicking and shocking, and that old porcupine. We got all the dogs off of it. And once one starts it, I don't care how broke a dog is. If one starts it, they just all go in.
Yeah.
We got them off. That porcupine got up, walked off without a quill in its body, and climbed a tree. They're tough,
Jesus
but man,
Christ.
but what if they
day.
do kill that porcupine, or what if they do kill that beaver, or what's not? I can guarantee you 99% of the people are going to walk away.
Well,
that lion, that 80-pound lion or 50-pound lion that your dog's killed or stretched or whatever, I guarantee you most of those guys are going to walk away.
Yeah, but the correct answer, in my own opinion, would be get a GPS location, notify Fish and Game, say, hey, this is what happened. You know, what do you want me to do?
They're going to write you a ticket.
Probably.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
It happened to a guy in Nevada.
Who's the guy who brought in the donkey?
In
Who
Nevada?
shot a donkey? Somebody shot a donkey, brought it in, and they got
I
wrote
got
him
a
up.
doe.
Yeah, I don't know how. Probably an out-of-state hunter.
There was a tactical Timmy. I call those night vision guys that have like all freaking set up, the nighttime coyote hunters. I call them tactical Timmies.
That's a good one. I like that. I've never heard that before.
He was coyote calling and down by Beatty, which is loaded with wild burros. He ended up dumping a little baby burro, thinking it was a coyote, and then turned himself in.
They hung him for it.
Oh, they took everything: his pickup, his guns, everything.
Jesus.
You know, and instead of just saying, okay, you thought it was a coyote, here's a $250 fine or whatever, 100.
Yeah,
and it's a damn donkey. Those things are like rats anymore.
Yeah,
he
saved the grass for a little bit. He saved an acre.
So
acre a year for 25 years on that one.
Yeah,
that one right there is why people will shut up.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's because when people are doing the right thing, Fish and Game, they make an example out of them instead of being
making an example out of them. They make a bad example, not a good example.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. They're making an example out of them, right? But instead of being informative and educative, they're being they're penalizing, right? As honest mistake that almost anybody would have made in majority of the situations, and instead of teaching them, they just automatically penalize, and it's not just a little bit, they're freaking throwing the book at them. So
here's a good example, and you've probably seen this down there, Jared. Those mule deers that are crossed with coos deer, whitetails.
Yeah.
It happens. I know it happens. I've seen it.
They just killed a giant one last year, and it was, it had a white tail.
We call it a cool deer.
And it was like 124-inch coos buck. It was giant, but the tips forked on all of them, like a muley. They get all crabby on top every now and then. And he just came around perfect, just like a mule deer. And so, it was a giant coos buck. So they made the guy pull genetics off of it for his Boone and Crockett paperwork, and it came back. It was a cross.
So what do they do? Automatically disqualify him for that, or what?
No, because I'm guessing so. I don't know how that works. But it did. In his defense, it did have a white tail though, and then they don't call it a coos tag; it's a white tail tag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so they? Is there anywhere that the coos deer overlaps with, like, say, the Texas whitetail?
Not that I know of.
No.
Well, didn't the coos deer that just became a fad here recently?
Yeah, because the tags are so prevalent.
But in the last
used to be
like decade or so, because before, like, the coos deer craze wasn't nothing fancy. It was all whitetail. You had whitetail and mule deer back 90s, whatever.
It's always been a thing since the 70s that I'm aware of. People used to go down there around Patagonia and Sierra Vista and all just to hunt those deer.
Yeah. Well, you go now January 1st to buy your lion tag. You better get to Walmart or wherever you're going early, because the over-the-counter guys for the archery hunt are right there on January 1st buying their tag.
Yeah.
To get out. And I mean,
I got my e-tag.
2 different Walmarts.
I do my e-tag. It's so much easier. Everybody's all, well, they're keeping track of you. You dummy. Got your phone. 75% of the bust is because your cell phone pinged a tower in the area that the wolf was shot.
Yep.
And now that's why they're at your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you want to do something wrong, just leave your phone at home. You're not going to
Yeah.
use that e-tag anyway.
Absolutely. You should just don't even take a phone if you're going to be hunting, unless you're the kind of guy that you're going to walk away in an ethical dilemma 100% of the time. Just leave your phone at home or back
Johnny,
at the truck
I
or
don't
whatever.
I don't agree with you on that, Johnny. And I know why you're saying that, but I've seen it. I've seen more of people saying, "Oh man, I did this," and getting hung
You
than
feed
I have
later.
seen. What is it?
Yeah. I've only ever heard of one situation where they self-reported, and it was a youth. Her and her dad were elk hunting in California, and this is the only time I've ever heard of a California Fish and Game warden not throwing the book at somebody. 16-year-old girl. She had gotten a Tulipa elk bull tag. She shoots this bull. It's a bachelor herd, right? And she shoots the bull. He drops, but then 3 seconds later stands back up. So she shoots him again. Then he runs 20, 30 yards and then falls down. So they start walking down there, and literally where she shot that first shot, there's a bull laying there. And then there's a bull laying over there 20, 30 yards.
He was laying down.
Yeah, he dropped him dead, right? Just a solid shot behind the shoulder. Wasn't even a spine shot. Literally, he just tight behind the shoulder and he dropped dead. And then another bull that they never saw. And her dad's like, shoot him again, right? Because if a
he stood
freaking elk
up.
stands up that I've just shot, I'm shooting that son of the gun until he falls over. Literally facing the same direction, looked like he stood up. But what had happened was, once they, CSI'd it, that bull was standing there, and then another bull stood up 5 foot closer when he dropped, and then ran off. And in the heat of the moment, they didn't look at horns, but so they reported it to Fish and Game, and it was at a military base hunt, right? So the Fish and Game was there, and they helped them get it off the mountain, and they took that meat and they just donated it, and they gave that girl a pass.
There you go.
And that's the only time I've ever, in 30 years of hunting in California, heard of them not giving someone a ticket.
Yep.
So are you saying that if I tore the tag in two and tagged the both animals, that would be wrong? I'm asking for a friend.
Right.
What you do is you take one, you hide it, and you debone everything and cut it up out in the field, and then pack it all
Shove
out.
it in.
And you've got
shove it in the other
600
one.
pounds of meat
Mm-hmm.
from one elk.
Well, people get so nervous. Like, if there's more stories about that, a lot more people would turn themselves in.
Oh, it's like speeding.
Yeah, a lot more people would be honest about it. But Fish and Game is so
there's a Fish and Game officer in Nevada, and we were dropping my buddy's bear off at the taxidermist, and he was telling us horror stories about stuff we got on the game and fish department. He was telling us horror stories about game wardens, and he had a buddy who his grandson had an antelope tag, and the grandson was out in the flats, out in the salt flats, putting a stock on an antelope. Game warden comes up to Grandpa sitting in the side by side, and he's all, "Hey, why do you have a gun?" And he's all, "For coyotes." He's like, "Why do you carry a gun?" Just kind of shot his mouth off to the game warden.
Mm-hmm.
And game warden, grandkid shot the buck, whatever. Checked the grandkid, checked the grandpa, took a picture of everyone's licenses, went back to the grandpa's house 2 weeks later, and checked his freezer, and he had mule deer meat and from the year before without a tag with the meat. Wrote him up.
What?
Yeah.
That is
just petty shit.
Exactly. Like literally, what do you mean? Am I supposed to tape a tag? Cut the tag up into 75 different pieces and tape a portion of it to each piece of meat? Like what the f do you want? You want me to take the tag? What am I supposed to do with it? It's been processed.
Just petty shit. I couldn't believe it. All because the dad, the grandpa did say, well, you're carrying. I think it was all over the comment. I think is what I heard, is because the grandpa had a gun for coyotes in the side by side.
Yeah.
And whatever, he thought game warden was just pushing for a fight, and he said, "You carry a gun, you gonna shoot something too?" And next thing, 2 weeks later.
I mentioned that when we had Chris Powell on, we was talking about game wardens, and I had said, there's good and bad ones, and he said, well, did he beat you? But just attitude can make you bad. Just like Johnny just said, just like police officers, you got good cops, bad cops, and that's true. But it ain't no different than speeding. I got pulled over by highway patrol, and I was doing 55 and 35 or 40. I don't know. I passed a school bus. It was in my way. I didn't see, but instead of him being a big asshole about it, and I kind of knew him, and he says, "Man, I'm just going to give you a waste of a natural resource ticket." And I had a lot of stuff. I didn't have my registration because I never register my truck. I see how long I can go, and so I registered my truck real quick. I said, "Oh, let me see," and I registered it real quick. But he just did that. You know what I mean? He could have gave me a bad ticket, criminal ticket, and
So,
but that's the same with game wardens. If you report it, the guy, and I told the guy, "Oh man, we were just jamming out. I didn't even realize I was hauling ass, whatever." But it's all about attitude as well. So when it goes both ways. And I try to tell my son this, who's now one of them possum cops, fish cops, whatever you want to call them. I said, it's all about attitude. I said, you don't have to be a suck ass, but you don't have to be an asshole, But if you walk up on somebody, and you got to remember, and I'll defend them both right now, those cops got to deal with people every day. And not everybody's as pleasant as us 5 here, 4. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's, as they approach the situation, they are surveying it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy being an asshole? Do I need to be an asshole? More of an asshole? Or are they being freaking cool? I'm going to be cool too.
Exactly.
Right?
You do have to assess the situation. Absolutely.
So the only ticket I've ever gotten in 30 years of hunting was this past spring, and it was over a bobcat, with being 13 days after the seal date, and I had messed up, and I thought that I had till the end of March to get it sealed, right? So I called Fish and Game.
What is that? Get it sealed. What do you got? What does that mean?
Put a metal tag on the hide, right?
So you got to tag it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it.
Okay.
Caught it with the dogs and all.
So once you shoot it,
you have
dispatch it, or once you trap it.
You have 10 days after the season, I believe is what the regs say now. Now that I know it, all right, and I should really go back and reread it, but season doesn't start till this winter, so I'm going to reread the regs. But I think you have 10 days after the season, and they usually set up, a sealing date. Well, I was 13 days after the season ended, so I was 3 days after the last day, right?
Yeah.
And then not knowing it, and I was just ignorant and didn't know. So I called in trying to get an appointment to go in and get this bobcat hide sealed. Well, warden comes out and he's gonna, under the guise that he's going to seal it for me. Well, he gets there and tells me, "Oh, well, here's your ticket, here's your court date. I'm confiscating everything." I'm like, "Oh, all right." Well, ended up, it got thrown out by the district attorney because it was, it was just
It was
a
still
minor
tagged,
offense.
but just
No,
not
he
after.
took the hide and does whatever they do with it. So, yeah, I didn't get that hide or nothing. So he said it becomes contraband at that point, even though the district attorney said, "Hey, look, this is, clearly a mistake. You did not do it maliciously. You literally called Fish and Game to get it sealed." And
so it's a call in. You have to call in.
You have to make an appointment.
You
Just
have
like
to make
tagging
an
a lion.
appointment. You can go into the office and make the
Oh,
appointment.
gotcha.
But just because you don't know if the biologist is going to be there to do the sealing. So, and I think the ladies in the front desk can do it also, but I want to say they want a biologist there to do it. So, yeah, I shot myself in the foot because I didn't read the regs correctly. I was 3 days late, and then they confiscated the hide, and I got to take it for it, but it got thrown out by the district attorney.
You want Charlie for me?
I was in early 20s, and I was headed up through Carefree up into Cave Creek. I think I was going to work cattle or something up there. And a deer literally jumped out of the arroyo straight in front of me, and I'm running 60 miles an hour. He didn't even, I don't think his feet touched the pavement when I hit him and run him over. And I look in the mirror, and he's spinning down the center line. And so I go to Cave Creek and go to Circle K and call the Game and Fish and say, "Hey, I just ran over a buck. It's over here. And, don't you guys donate those animals if they're fresh enough to the jails and stuff?" They said, "Well, we do sometimes, but I need all your information." I said, "For what?" She said, "Well, we need your name, and we need to know how to reach you, and we need to know where this took place." I said, "Well, I'll tell you where it took place. Are you going to send somebody to go get the deer?" She said, "Well, we need to know who you are." I said, "Why?" She says, "We're going to cite you for unlawful taking of a game animal."
What?
Yeah. And I'm in my 20s, and when I was in my 20s, I was full of myself.
Weren't we all?
And the verbal abuse that I handed that lady over the phone, and before I hung up, it's like, but the stupidity of all of it is what I was getting at. It's like,
yeah,
there's no common sense. There's no give and take. There's no grace. There's always just attack.
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
what about, okay?
Why not educate instead of alienate?
Yeah.
I told her part of the deal was, I said, "Well, your damn deer was jaywalking. Why don't you fix my pickup, you dumb bitch?"
Your deer was jaywalking. I like it.
Yeah, that was in his 20s. I'm sure if today he called Game and Fish and that lady did the same thing, he would just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Here's my name and number."
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, you're right. There's some people out there's some on both sides, law enforcement and just
But
individuals.
This was the one in the office answering the phone.
Yep, I know. So, but I mean, I always say you get what you give. You give respect. Now, if law enforcement came up to me and I gave him respect and he started to be belligerent, then I'm sure my attitude would change as well.
Yeah.
But it goes same with the law enforcement. If they come up, and honestly, as law enforcement, you should come up polite and respectful every time.
Every time. It doesn't matter if you're having a bad day or not. Your job is to be polite and respectful to everybody. Now, in
because
the event
you're representing.
You're exactly right. Representing a government agency, whether it's state, federal, local, whatever. You are the paid professional, and you need to be presenting yourself as such, right? That's why you're in that position. That is the requirement to that position. And when you're not, you are shedding a bad light on that agency.
Yeah.
And law enforcement's so looked down upon right now that I'm sure it makes it hard to be, no matter what you are, a beat cop, a detective, game and fish, you know.
I wouldn't want it the public.
But
No,
I know. Got, you know, I know cops that become cops and walk into a Circle K and they say it's the worst thing I ever felt in my life. People stop talking. People don't look at you. And I told them, I said, you know, how's it feel to be the bad guy when you're supposed to be the good guy? You know, and that's how it is. And when you compare, if you want to be appreciated in life, you can be law enforcement all you want. But when you show up to a domestic violence that the guy or the girl beat the crap out of the other one and you arrest them and the partner goes after you, even though they're bloody and black eyed,
you're right.
You want to appreciate in life? Go buy a tow truck. Go buy a tow truck.
Make more money
every
too. Those
time
guys
you
are
get
freaking rob you.
Every time you get a call, you're appreciated. Guaranteed. I've been there. I was gonna buy a tow truck company. I worked for a guy, and no matter what time.
Did you buy?
What's that?
How many back windows did you buy for your tow truck? How many times your back windows get shattered?
I never broke out no back windows.
No,
that's
on your tow truck.
Oh, my repo. I only had one windshield. One windshield, and that was down in Cibiq. And I wasn't even repoing the lady's car. They just drove up. I just left the house, and I just helped the lady pay for her car so she could keep it. And I'm sitting there just doing some paperwork, and lady pulls up, gets out of the car, the back seat, yelling at me, a little bit intoxicated probably, and picks up a rock, throws it through. I had a 4-door Dodge 3500, you know, and it had the hideaway, and threw a big rock right through my windshield. So, yeah.
I'd be a mad son of a gun.
Well, that's all I'm going to say. I'll say this. When I was repoing on the res, I called a person and I said, who's the baddest mother effer on this? And she said, my brother. And I said, yeah, right. Everybody says that. So I hook up with this guy, and this guy was thrown off the bridge, 300-foot bridge, broke both legs and crawled out. So he was pretty bad mother effer.
Yeah.
And when I could go to a house, get out, and I was white boy on the res. I didn't have too much trouble though, you know, because I just talked a lot of crap about white boys anyway. I'd get out, and if they gave me any trouble, this is no lie, this guy would step out of the truck, and they'd look over at him, and I'd have full cooperation. And I can tell you, that lady, I didn't know who it was, and I made a call, and they said, what did she drive? What? I said, oh, she was with these two guys. Oh, okay. That was all I heard. That was it. And a week later, their house burnt down. Maybe coincidence. Maybe coincidence. I didn't ask. I didn't care. But no one really messed with me on that res too much.
That's funny.
Know? But I was respectful anyways to them. You know, even though they hate white people, they hate white people. You want to see racism, go repoing on the res, man. You know, so.
I grew up.
I take my cousin with me too. Yeah, I took my cousin, and he was half Mexican and had dirty old big hair, and they thought he was an Apache. So they would talk to him.
Hey,
good
guys,
times though.
I'm gonna check out. I enjoyed this visit, and you guys take care.
All right, you too.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Laters. So, yep.
Right.
That's the good old days, the good old bounty hunting days. Oh boy, I could tell some stories with bounty hunting. You know, my uncle owned a bail bonds, so
yeah,
man, I was in the 90s, and I was out of high school running around chasing guys. So same thing though. You know, we had people and organizations that were not so great, and we'd arrested them. And, you know, by the end of the day, they were like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know, you know.
There you go.
And that was every color of organization out there. So, and 9 times out of 10, we bailed them out again in 24 hours. So got another 10%.
Yep.
Dang.
But
where do they keep getting money for bail? Like, how do they come up with that money?
well, like I said, they're big organizations. I don't want to say, you guys can probably figure it out. Biker organizations, white organizations, black, Mexican.
Yep.
They got
Yeah.
money. They don't care. You know, they don't care to stay in. They don't care to get out. So
Yep.
they'll go in, I guess, do their politics, and you'll bail them out.
Yeah.
So it was fun,
Heck yeah.
you know. So now I just do little PI work and do podcast, I guess.
Yep.
Could
Try
be
to make
worse.
some video. Could be worse. Might get worse. We can go down that rabbit hole. I tell you what, if you guys don't know how to bottle or can food or save
We're working
food,
on
or
it. We're
yeah,
going to be canning a bunch of meat this fall. What if we can fill a couple of the tags that we got? We're going to be canning a bunch.
I have. So tomorrow it opens for cow in my unit.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I got, my wife has a tag. My daughter's gonna get. It's kind of like we shoot one, then we go get another tag.
Mm-hmm.
Then we shoot one, go get another tag.
Heck
Oh,
yeah.
wait. We shoot one and then go buy the tag, right? Is that how you do it?
That's the way it
That's
works.
how you do it.
I know someone's listening right now too. So
I
it's
bet
probably
you
like,
Fishing Game would sell a lot more tags if they sold them that way.
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you could go shoot one and get on your phone and just send a location and buy that tag, and maybe if you do it that way, it costs you another $50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know. They got to make their money too. You know, everybody's kind of whines about game and fish and money, but what I think a lot of people don't understand with the game and fish, and I just read this. Did you guys read, or I seen this? Dang, I should have. I think I sent it to my son. Game and fish. Where's that at? Wisconsin, or they're pulling people over on the freeways, giving them tickets because they kind of have a quota, and they're saying, you know, game and fish ain't. Game and fish are peace officers. They go to the same
100%
academy
peace
as any
officer.
officer. And then when they're done, they go to another 3-month class to be a game and fish. You know, I think they go to cop school to learn to be an asshole. Then they go back to game and fish to define and, you know, meticularize that.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, but they can write 28 tickets, you know, ARS 28s, and they can write any ticket they want. Well, I just seen a thing where everybody was mad because game and fish were writing tickets. Is it Utah? I think it is Utah. Like just pulling people over for speeding, and they're trying to fight it, but you're still speeding. It drives me crazy. People say, oh, these land pirates. Well, if you don't want to get a ticket, don't do 80 and a 65.
Yeah.
You know, just because everybody else is doing 80 doesn't make it right. You know, if that was the case, we'd have a big purge and we can go just annihilate everybody. And as long as everybody's doing it, we're okay.
Yep.
You know, I seen on Facebook, a lady said, why is that motorcycle cop sitting on the sidewalk radar? Isn't that illegal? And I'm just like, you wouldn't care if that cop was riding on that sidewalk with his lights on to come to a call to your house. But because he's sitting there radaring, now you're going to whine about it, you know?
Yep.
But that's same with game and fish.
That's unethical ticketing right there. It's
unethical ticketing.
It's
unfair chase.
Unfair chase.
Yeah, because he should have to pace you.
Just like the robot deer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, and you heard about the guy in California? This was years and years ago who shot that deer. He shot the deer, figured out his robot, went up and tagged it. If I'm telling the story right, I might not be. Game and fish pop out, of course. He takes him to court because he shot it legal. Like he stepped off the road or whatever he did. he shot this deer legal, and the verbiage, the language, and the regulation said if you legally take whatever you legally take is yours. And this was like a $15,000 robot, and he won and got to keep it.
So he took the robot from him.
Yeah.
That's
I have to find that story. I'm sure someone's heard it before. I read about it.
I've never heard that.
Years and years ago. I'd have to look it up. God,
That's crazy.
I hope you look it up. Let me see if I can find it.
What about
fish?
The events here in Nevada?
And those guys were mad.
Oh, which ones?
Well,
with the outfitter and the commissioner.
Yeah.
So this is all grapevine stuff I've heard. Is the outfitter thought he found a gray area.
Well, I posted it.
Yep. But this is just coming from a buddy in town that knows the guy. Is the outfitter thought he found a gray area.
Oh.
They called Game and Fish. They probably talked to a front desk girl or whatever. I don't know the whole story. But someone at Game and Fish said, yeah, that's fine. And then they shot it, tagged it, brought it in to check, and now it's not fine.
Huh. Yeah.
Or they didn't think, or they just blatantly did it. One of the two.
I mean,
what did he do that was illegal about it?
Shot a bear out of unit.
Well, so technically it's out of unit, but from what I read in the article, it was in a closure area. And then, so I researched it. The only thing in that area is some college land that's still public land. So
that's the gray area.
That would be the gray area. So why is that college area, if it's open to the public use, why would it be closed to only hunting?
And is it posted?
I don't know. Yeah, it would have to be posted.
Yeah.
Arizona's every 90 feet, I believe, or you can put purple stakes up, or.
Well, yeah, it depends. You got not the Baba Kiwi, but the Bueno Aires refuge. That's not posted every 900 feet. That's no hunting or no predator hunting.
Yeah. So what's that? You can hunt deer, but not predators.
Yeah, you can hunt deer, but not predators.
Well, that's just stupid. Well, that's what I'm saying about the primitive units like 3B in Arizona. So you can be out hunting elk, right? And then somebody could be with you hunting coyotes with a 7mm mag while you're hunting. So they don't shut it down and say, okay, we have elk hunts, you can't hunt coyotes, predators, or anything while an elk hunt's going on.
Yeah.
So you can have both rifles. To me, if you're going to make it a primitive unit, make it a primitive unit, period.
All the way across. But the other thing is with Game and Fish is everything is gray area to their favor. Back before I got my guide's license, I went into the bear class, and because I had a buddy draw a bear tag, and I'm all, because in the rules it says illegally guiding is making a profit off of a hunt.
Profit. It does read profit.
Yeah, it says profit.
Because you don't make profit when someone fills up your tank of gas.
No, this is where it gets stupid. So I'm at the class. The class has game wardens at the class. I talked to the game warden and I'm like, what is classified as a profit? And he's all, that's a gray area. I'm like, well, what does it mean? And he's all, if you and your buddy are hunting together and your buddy has an offshore fishing boat in San Diego, that's legal. Now you meet this guy on the internet who has an offshore bass boat or boat in San Diego and you swap a fishing trip for a hunting trip, that's illegal.
Well, if you're swapping, there's no profit.
No, that's
Yeah.
not a profit. You're not
That is a
profiting.
profit because that guy has that type of a business. And they're thinking the fishing trip is a profit of money to money. Just like you giving me, say, on your hunt and I didn't have a guide license, you give me a rifle.
Yeah.
That rifle has a value.
So here's the deal though. So when you go, let's say you're doing your taxes and you swap a bear hunt for a fishing hunt. So I can write that fishing hunt off as, oh, you got Benny all jacked up now. You can write that fishing trip off as a loss because you spent all that money.
Exactly, Benny.
Okay,
exactly.
So that's a loss. There's no profit. Just like the guy with the bear hunt, he can write that off. All the gas he spent, the food.
Yeah.
Now,
but
from
you
hand
can't
to
if you
hand,
don't have a guide's license.
Yeah. Well,
now there. See, this is the state's bullshit. Is they always want to get their cut of everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
so they need that guy $300.
Yeah, and if I didn't have a guide license, I would become best friends with a mechanic and swap work for a lion hunt all the time.
Right.
But that's a profit.
See, but
so that they're saying that's only if you have a guide license that on the internet meet someone, do a hunt swap.
Well, Nevada's different because Nevada you have permits like where the bear unit is. You have to work for someone that has that Forest Service permit because it's not like Arizona where you put in for it. In Nevada, you have to buy those permits, which are not cheap.
Yeah, but so what I was getting at is they're in Arizona, or where were you talking about when you took the
This was
class?
in Nevada. That was in Nevada.
Yeah.
Okay, so
he couldn't even put fuel in my tank because that was a profit for me.
Well, that's kind of how it is in
as a guide, though,
like
not
Arizona.
As not. I wasn't a guide.
Just a buddy.
Yeah.
If your buddy gives you gas money.
Yeah.
They're saying if your buddy gives you gas money or buys you soda,
you're
getting paid
to
take them hunting.
Yeah.
See, no, that's
let me just go on air. Let me just go on air and tell you how to cheat all the system and you can do it nowadays. And I know all the green jeans probably hit my guts.
Tim Brink nailed it.
But yeah. So
it is. It's
if you go
and
okay, so this or it's just don't mention it, but so is what you do is when you go into the store, you look right at the guy and you say, "Oh crap, I owe you gas for when you mowed my lawn." And you put gas in his truck, and there's cameras everywhere now, so you have to do that. I pay $300 a year. I don't take nobody guiding. I rarely take anybody guiding.
Yeah.
Just because I pay $300 a year as insurance, because I take everybody hunting, and they put gas in my truck, but I'm not going to write it off. I didn't accept money. So when you fill out your game and fish paperwork, what do you put on? What do you put on there? Tank of gas? That's not a profit.
Right.
You're not exchanging nothing, honestly. I mean, it'd probably be pretty tough to hold up in court as far as why did he put gas in your truck? You know what I mean? And that's also why I have a 501c3.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's just dumb. And I didn't have a guide license when I was taking all those kids line hunting, but I didn't get paid for it.
No.
So,
but it's just that part was so frustrating to me because he wouldn't give me a definite answer.
Well, they're not good.
That's because he's not. There is no definite answer.
No,
he's. It's him being able to interpret the law and write you a ticket based off of his interpretation, and that is not black and white, like Benny was saying.
Exactly.
A law is black and white. If they're interpreting, then that shit is shady as hell.
Well, you're gonna.
Benny's right. Bartering is frowned upon because there's no way to collect tax revenue, and that's exactly what it is. That's all it's about.
Yep.
If I was a game warden, I wouldn't give you a definite answer either, because it's going to come back and bite you when you say, hey, can I do this? Because I've talked to the game warden. I said, when they opened up 3B for rifle hunting, it freaked me. I still shot one. I had my 6.5 and I shot it with my black powder. And the game warden, I literally was like this. I passed the game warden and he was watching that elk. And I passed him. He didn't know who I was at the time. We know who we are, but we passed. I said, yeah, that's who that is. I thought it was a hunter. And I got out and shot that elk right there. And he says, why'd you shoot it with your black powder? I said, I just felt wrong in the unit.
Because I don't trust you.
And I called him and I said, hey, am I reading these regs wrong? Because it says I can use a rifle in 3B. And he says, yeah. I said, that's crazy because it's a primitive unit. And then they went away with that. It's a ham hunt now, which is fine with me. I got a 10 millimeter, and I screwed up. I wanted to kill. I left my longbow here. I wanted to kill that. I could have killed that elk with my longbow because I was literally 15 yards from him. Like he just walked right out. I could have whacked him. And I got a good longbow. I told my kids I wanted one, and I sent them a picture of a recurve that was $130 just so I could learn. And they had already bought me a bear, a $500 55-pound bear.
There
you ever pulled a 55-pound longbow?
Stiff.
No, I pulled like a 45 pound.
I tell you what, that's bad. And I got on Facebook. I said, hey, I got this. And everybody's like, are you stupid? Get a 30-pound. I already got it, man. I'm just going to go with it. And I did. I got squeeze of hay out here. And, I did. I could kill something at, 10 feet. Anything beyond that, I don't know. I just have to become a better stalker, right?
Right.
But I could have killed that elk. And I always wanted to use a longbow. And I tell you, when the world comes to an end and there's no more bullets and your cams are breaking and nobody to fix your cams, you'll always be able to take that longbow and make another string and then make wood arrows.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm finding tire weights, batteries, making melting lead for balls.
I have a 30-gallon barrel that I will pay someone $1,000 if they can move it 6 inches.
30-gallon barrel full of lead.
Melted lead that I ingoted it. Yep.
Oh, did you?
That thing's got to weigh about 700 pounds.
No. Let me tell you how much lead weighs.
It's
in my scrap yard. I had tweakers that would go to the range. Oh, my stuff's popping up my computer. And dig out, sift all the bullets out of the banks. And they would bring me the bullets. So that's lead and copper. And I used to get 42 cents a pound for that because of the lead and copper. And I had a 55-gallon barrel set in my front yard or at my gate by my scale. And that thing was only, gosh, man, I bet you it wasn't half full. It might have been 3/8 full, maybe 5/16 full. That thing weighed 1,200 pounds. And I had the best time when them natives came in or those tweakers came in. I said, I give you $100 if you can move that 6 inches. I've never seen nobody blow their buttholes out so hard in their life, sweating and just. That's why they'd have to call oh man, they tried their hardest and they could not do it. Lead is heavy.
Oh,
it's heavy. When I first started melting lead, I had a pan that I used for lead and I put a bunch of lead in there and I was melting it. And I went to pick it up. I'm like, oh my God, it melted to the damn stove. Then I realized that it was so heavy. I thought it melted to the stove. Lead is ridiculous.
That's what I shoot at everything.
It was just a 50-pound lead plate in a pan, huh?
Yeah, I do 2-pound ingots. And so if you take a cast iron muffin pan like an old school cast iron muffin pan, like cupcake pan, you know, and the ingots are only about that big and maybe about that deep. Those are 2.2 pounds, 2 pounds, you know. So a
How do you
muffin
get 'em
pan
out of
right
that?
there. What's that?
How do you get them out of it?
Oh, they just dump out.
Oh, do they? Once they
Yeah,
cool
I
off,
let them cool
they
off.
don't just bond to it.
Nope. Oh no, nope. They dump out, and I go next one. You know, and I had a lot.
Okay.
And people would bring me in the corn ones. You know, the old corn muffin pans,
You got
cast
the
iron.
corn
swear
cob
to
shape
God.
in there.
Yeah, everybody had a corn cob one, and they always melted lead and brought it to me. And I just those things drove me crazy, so I'd remelt it. I've been out of the scrap business since 2015. Gosh dang.
But
You
the
getting
best
Anyways,
old?
bullets
I just now last year got done melting all my lead. I didn't sell no lead. All those copper bullets,
yeah,
I just threw in the pot and then pulled the copper out. And then I got
there you
number
go.
one copper.
The best
You know,
bullets
and
to
I
shoot are
let me
pure
tell you,
lead.
I didn't sell lead and I didn't sell brass. And I still got a quarter 55-gallon barrel I have to go through. And
There
the
you
number
go.
one round at where someone goes out in the desert and shoots is a 40 caliber and a 223.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
have
said 9
bags
millimeter.
and bags. No, 40s. I don't even have a 40. I have to go buy a 40 because I got 1 gallon Ziploc bags full and I have a huge tumbler, big tumbler. And I take all that stuff out. I throw all the bad ones in a bucket and I give them to my brother who does foraging. So he made that knife out of it. He made me a knife and the handle. And then I throw them all in my tumbler. And I got bags and bags of 223, bags and bags. And I got a huge Dillon loader. You know, I got the biggest one under the automatic load for the bullets, but I don't
What do
use
you
the
shoot your
automatic.
bears with?
6.5, 30.
But do you
Usually.
are they copper plated soft points?
Yeah.
I
My
quit using
6.5s,
copper plated.
my 6.5s I load my 6.5s and
Yeah.
they're ballistic tip.
I went here. I'm gonna go grab the box.
But I reload my 6.5s and I always usually use the ballistic tips. And on my 220 Swift, I use Molly coated because they're so fast. You know, but
Frickin'
yep.
After seeing horror stories like with people shooting lions and with 40s that are soft points copper and they hit the lion in the shoulder, it breaks the
Yeah.
lion's shoulder, but it doesn't go through.
Dude, I've had the same thing with my 45s.
Yeah.
I've hit 2 toms in the shoulder now. And it's just buffalo boar.
Buffalo boar.
Oh,
they're expensive. These are my 45s, but they're just.
I tell you what, get a 10 millimeter. I screwed up.
I don't like 10 millimeters. I like my Cowboy 6s.
I carry my 45, but then when you start listening to all those stories where the bear and all this, that 10 millimeters, if you're a guide, you should probably carry a 10 millimeter pistol.
I love my 6-shooters because they always shoot. And
I load
I can
mine.
always turn them around and use them.
I was thinking about getting
reload.
a 6-shooter for a 357 and just running with like a wad cutter.
Yeah.
Just because they're traveling, like what are they, 1,200 foot per second instead of the 875 or 900 that a freaking 45 ACP is, because that's what I carry. I've never had an issue with shooting anything, but twice now I've shot toms in the shoulder, and that bullet will just stop, break that leg bone,
and then
stop in that armpit
on a 45.
A 45 ACP with 260 grain or 65 grain hollow points.
Yeah, I like the 245s.
I shot a line with my 357 running in the bluffs, and I hit him right in his wrist. It from like 6 feet, and the bullet lodged in his forearm and his wrist.
Huh.
It didn't exit, and that's with a 357. Those are like the box is red. It's called the bear load. It's like 158 grain or 185 grain. But after a couple bad instances, it's expensive. I started buying this buffalo bore. It's solid lead. They
those
don't.
long colts?
This is a long colt, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll load you some.
And they make these for the 45 long colts. They make hot rounds hotter. This one's only traveling at 1,100 feet per second. They make 45 long colts that'll leave the barrel at 1,400.
Ah, that sounds like it'd break your freaking
That's
wrist.
a cannon.
Well,
Yeah.
I load for my
And-
rifle. I try to load one round for my
Yeah.
rifle, and I can shoot out of my pistol. So I got my books. I go through my books. I'll load a few, and I'll go out in my yard and shoot one of my cars and see if it blows up my hand. But the great thing about that is, and Troy says it's because you're shooting hollow points, but
See
I
that?
always
And that
use
could be.
soft points, but they say soft
yeah,
points.
I just bought a die so I can make my own, because anything under 1,500 feet, you can use just lead. You don't have to put a hardener in it. And then most your pistol rounds, your 30-30s are under 1,500 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're shooting them with a 30-30 and you're loading just some lead, semi-hollow point, you're going to be close. Most of your bears are in a tree. Your lions are pretty close.
Yep.
But I've been loading a little heavier because I want to shoot them out of both of them. So,
But I've shot lions with 20 gauges with slugs, and I've had a big Tom just eat those. I've shot him twice, and he just ate both slugs. I had to reload. I mean, he died pretty quick, but still, you're talking 10 feet.
I think it's the muscle content on a lion is a lot harder than a bear.
It could be.
I think it is. I just feel it is.
Because
shot
with those two slugs, it didn't exit. They entered, but didn't exit.
I've
That's
shot a ton of hogs with a 45 and with a 45 ACP, and I've shot them in the brain. I've shot them in the shoulder. I've shot them running at a quartering away angle, hit them at the back of the ribs, and it come over, and it'd bounce. It'd come out. So if I shot them back of the ribs, the left side, bullet would hit back of both lungs, come out behind the opposing shoulder, hit the shield, make a giant hematoma, and then bounce back through and knock another hole through the ribs or between the ribs and come back in and stop in like a lung, or just end up falling down to the bottom of the chest. But that's with 45 ACP, and that's that same hollow point round. And a hog would have a freaking up to a 2-inch thick shield. Usually they're about 1.25 inch ish. Good mature boars, 1.5 inches. But then I've killed hogs with literally a 2-inch thick freaking just cartilage shield. And I've had those 45 ACPs punch through that, still make it into the heart and lungs and kill them. But then again, I've used a 38 and I've shot small sows, 130, 140 pound sows with a 38 and lead free round. And I've broken that shoulder blade, or not shoulder blade, but that, I guess you call it the humerus, right? Broke that shoulder bone, leg bone on a hog, and it punched through that and then go into and hit the heart and lungs at 15 to 20, somewhere in their yards. I don't know. Maybe just that lion's got denser bone.
Dude, they are
harder.
I think they're just solid, denser muscle and bone.
Yeah.
Could be.
I feel like a bear is softer.
But
I've never had a problem with the bear.
the nice part about those lead bullets is they don't mushroom and flatten out a whole lot.
Okay.
Like I've pulled them, and the mushroom's only as round as my thumb or my pinky on my 357s. It punches and just goes straight through the shoulder.
Yeah.
It doesn't get locked with the lead. The copper, it hits that shoulder, and you've seen it when you've probably skinned your own lions out, where you sit and it just mushrooms out and just stops right in the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Where the solid lead ones, if you're pushing over 1,100 feet per second, they do pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. So, and then again, I've shot bucks at 150 yards, been above them, and shot them with 30-06, and not have the bullet come out the chest. Right. So shooting them from the back, from above, catch the last rib with the right side. Bullet's theoretically going to come out the chest of the brisket. Bullet was sitting on top of the brisket, or penetrated through the brisket, but between the brisket and the ribs. And the only thing I can contribute that to is the shock hitting that thing, and it just buckles and absorbs the impact, right? So the bullet's still traveling through them, but then it dissipates or expends all the energy in the body by time that bullet stops. So, and maybe that's the thing with the lions, is not the fact that they're denser, but they're
quick.
They're quick, right? So they're starting to move and they're absorbing that hit because they're moving with it. So I don't know, just a thought.
You know, maybe. What's the difference on you got a 40 or 10 millimeter? A 40 and a 10 millimeter, exact same round. A 10 millimeter is a 40 Magnum is what it is. I use the same die to load them both.
Same caliber. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a smaller projectile, which probably travel, less resistance than a 45. You know what I mean? Maybe that has something to do with it. Kind of a bigger round, and you could probably buy them hot loads. But I mean, even on an elk with, I shot that elk with my 45. I shot him with my 50, but a 50 caliber, and I've seen those bullets go through and stop the skin on the other side, and that's a 50 caliber with 100 grains of black powder, close range. But I also seen a guy shoot a bear with a pneumatic rifle, 50 caliber. Coolest thing ever seen. Air rifle. 50 caliber air rifle. 1,100 pounds of pressure every load.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I shot it. Boom. Crazy.
So
they're not cheap.
They're like $3,000 for a pneumatic rifle. So since they're a pneumatic rifle and they're not a firearm, you can run suppressors on those if they have a crack to them, right?
And they're not even loud at all.
No,
it's like thump. It's like a thump, boom. And you get you get 3 shots with the cartridge, like the tank, air tank. Okay. So yeah, crazy. But it dropped that bear dead. I'll tell you that. No problem.
That's cool.
Well, did you know Lewis and Clark had air rifles with them when they went on their expedition?
How did they pressure those up?
They had pumps back then that could do it.
I'll have to read into that.
You got to look it up. It's crazy.
There's some doubt in that voice. Jared's going to look it up. Next week, Jared will tell us.
Right?
Yeah, they had pneumatic rifles on them when they went.
Huh.
I didn't know they made a lever and a Rossi. How does that work? Because the 40 cal, well, unless it's a different card, like the 308 lever action, what is that, a 307? Because it has a different edge on the cartridge, on the
it's
brad.
Shouldered and not a rimless.
Yeah, I wonder how that.
It's a rimmed and not rimless.
Yeah. I wonder how that works.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of different oddball. Used to be black powdered rifles. They're 40-45s, 45-40s, 32-40s, 32-45s. They're just all. Maybe at that time they were kind of a common thing, like a 30-30 now or whatever, but they lost favor for newer, more modern rifles.
Yeah. Well, didn't they make a 444 revolver?
Marlin, 444 Marlin, I want to say.
That's the one you need right there.
For a revolver?
Yeah. For lion and bear.
Right, it's like, friggin'
No,
finger.
it's a 444. It's a rifle cartridge. So
Yeah, if that's
or
the one I'm thinking of,
44,
it's
40.
like 2.5-inch long round.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what
They
I thought
make
about getting too? Is those
what?
real short 30-30s, kind of like the one Stephen McQueen wore.
Oh,
in
the
that
the
cowboy.
the mare's leg. They called it a
Yeah.
mare's leg.
I
Yeah,
thought I tried looking at them. They look like a pain in the butt in the mountains. I mean,
Well, you could keep it in your
you don't
pack.
have you can't shoulder it,
No,
so you're holding it like this, and
I
you still
bet.
have iron sights.
I bet
I'd
you
rather
could
just,
put. I bet you
unless
could
you're gonna
build
one arm it
a
way out
stock
there.
that folds in.
There you
if you could
go.
do a single shot like that with a stock that folded up,
Mm-hmm.
and that whole thing's gonna be like less than 24 inches, that'd be
Doesn't
super handy.
doesn't Henry have one of those over unders that tear apart?
Oh,
Like
like
I'm sure.
they have the Survivor.
Yeah,
223, 410,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a.
And
I think they
so
make
break
one
action
large
just folds
caliber,
like that.
yeah,
and
just something to keep in your pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I don't
Well,
know, I'm terrible at shooting. So if you see me pull my gun, like shit's getting real western. Real quick.
That's the same with me. If I'm pulling my pistol, we're in trouble. I
Yeah,
might not, I'll shoot long range all day long, open sight, iron sight, scope, whatever. I got a bunch of pistols. I carry 3 Glocks with me. In my Tundra,
Yeah.
I got 3 Glocks and my 6 shooter. So
I like pistol.
Everyone-
I'm decent with pistol. If I can shoot it with a pistol, I'll shoot it with a pistol over a rifle just because, I like the stock.
I'm
Yeah.
terrible at shooting. So I got my little youth model 20 gauge that I use, and then I got my 2 pistols. I got a 45, and then I got my 357.
Well,
yeah, I got my.
I grew up wearing out pellet guns, shooting
Yeah.
at ground squirrels there in California. So I probably went through half a dozen pellet guns before I turned 18. And
Oh man,
I'd get to where I could shoot like 100 yards with a pellet gun. So
that's crazy. It's probably been 4 years since I've shot a long gun.
44
Really?
mag. I was going to get a 44 mag
Yeah.
lever, but I have a 45 revolver. So I wanted the same caliber. I did buy for $100 at a swap meet. The guy has a 44 special, and it was a black powder gun. And
Yeah.
he took the cylinder out and put a 44 cylinder in it.
Okay.
So, but it's a pain in the ass. It's kind of my spare, probably bury it somewhere gun in case something ever happens. Because you have to take the barrel out. You have to take the cylinder out to reload it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it doesn't have a reloading port, so you have to just.
But it was
pop it
$100.
out.
So
I like $100 guns. I
Yeah.
like guns.
I bought my
Yeah.
30-30 for $600 at a swap meet. So
You know what
And
I'm
it-
jealous? I'm mad about. You know what? You guys remember those Ruger Ranch rifles? That's the truck guns of all
Mini
truck guns.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought 2 of them in the last couple years, $800 a piece.
When I
Oh.
was in high school, those were $350.
Mhm. Man,
They're inaccurate. They're only good, to a couple
Inaccurate?
hundred yards.
no. How far?
Couple hundred. I mean,
Oh,
they're not the most accurate rifle out there. It's a truck gun,
well,
Yeah.
you have to. You
and now
definitely.
they're over $1,000.
Hey, I got mine at $800 and I snagged them up.
Yeah, I'm so
They're
mad.
better
'cause
than.
those are
I'm
my
gonna tell you what
those
they're
are
better
fun little
than.
rifles.
They're better than the AR-15. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
I don't like the AR-15. I'm an AK-47 guy, and I bought AK-47s for $300. Now, why I didn't buy 100 of them back in the day makes me sick to my stomach. 8mm Turkish Mausers, $40. Used
Yeah,
for
yeah.
$110. It was $114. You
For the
got
Walmart
1,400
specials.
rounds, and the
Big
rifle.
5.
SKS, you could get
Yep.
for $80, and you were buying the 7.62 by 39s for $2 a box. You were getting 1,000 rounds for $250 or whatever it was.
Yeah. I've always wanted to get a any kind of rifle that'll shoot the 7.62 by 39 just to have it.
The SKS is an awesome unjamming rifle. Any of that, AK, SKS, they're all open port. Like it's just,
Mhm.
you got the AR-15 who has a little tiny window. I shot the new A2s in the military when they first came out. They still jammed up. That's why they got sports, a thing called sports. When it jams up, slap, pull, observe, release, tap, shoot. Like,
okay.
I don't even know how I remember that shit. But
I've never heard of that. I like it.
Sports. I remember it's sports. It's called sports. It's just a whole system when it jams up. And those A2s, brand new A2s, not the Vietnam ones we had in basic. When I was out, we got issued the A2s and they still jammed up. But I was the guy who checked out the 60 because no one wanted to clean the 60, not me. I love shooting that 60, boy. I carry every 27 pounds of it when I was in my 20s.
There you go.
No one wanted to clean it, but we would take it to the car wash and I'd degrease it and I'd power wash it all off at the car wash. And then I'd oil it up and turn it back in. Guy was always like, God dang, you get these clean. I'm like, oh yeah,
I'm an expert.
Yeah. And I was a mechanic, so we had a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I tell people, can your food. I guess we could end it on this. And don't buy more guns, buy more bullets. Because you're only going to be able to carry one. Everybody's horrible. There's 14 or 15 guns per person in the United States.
Hey, do you still want to talk about Wade's deal or no?
Oh God, you always mention that right at the end.
Oh, I just remembered it.
You know what? We can outlaw it. So Monday we're talking about Outlaws 2. So
there you go. That'll be brought up then on Monday for sure.
Oh, it'll be brought up, and then Wednesday we'll cover all that shit too again. Maybe I'll look up some more. That would be our main topic.
Yeah, they threw the book at him.
They sounded like they did, but he's kind of been under the radar.
He's had his troubles.
If they got him and gave him 6 months jail, they've been watching him for over 18 months.
Yep.
Easy.
It sounds like he's been under the radar been being watched for years, had lots of accusations, and that's I'll believe it.
He got busted with Donald Trump Jr. for killing a bear out of a unit.
Weren't they baiting?
Baiting, yeah.
Baiting, and it wasn't in his kill unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can only outlaw so long before someone snitches you off.
Right. Well, somebody's going to brag to somebody about how they did it. And then somebody's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, Donald Trump Jr. shot a bear over bait, out of unit.
And
fishing game. Yeah. Hey. DJ.
Everyone, when you're guiding, you always have the breakout years where you're like, dude, everyone killed this year. I was 100%, or 95. So then you can say that for the next year, like, oh my goodness, everyone killed. And then now everyone's trying to keep up with that, chasing that 100%.
Yeah.
It's just going to lead to cheating.
I think if you're 100%, you're on the radar.
You can't tell me that you're not going to have a bad week of hunting. At least once a year.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're at 100%,
weeks without catching lions.
If you're at 100%, you're gonna get on someone's radar.
Yep.
Especially if you're young, starting out, you're gonna get on someone's radar.
Well, if you're starting out, you're already on the radar because they don't know who you are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But those old guys tend to mouth off a little bit to these young game wardens, and those game wardens vow they're going to get them.
Yeah, they start paying attention, and
they will, and they don't get them. A lot of hard criminals aren't caught red-handed. They're caught because their wife is mad at them because they have a mistress. I just listened to a podcast about Willie Sutton, bank robber guy. His escape from jail, prison 5-6 times.
Yeah.
Was on the run, robbing banks. His partner had a mistress. His wife find out about it, calls him. He says, "Oh no, this is just someone in prison's wife. He's just taken care of." Find out he lied to him, and then set him up and got him busted.
Oh shoot.
A woman scorned, man.
Yep. And it's
every
that's
time.
probably my number one asked question is guiding when the hunters call me is, are you 100%? I tell them I've never had a year of 100%. I always have one guy that usually doesn't tag or two.
And if they're 100%, they have a lot of people out there either looking, or they're probably cutting corners.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and it might not be something horrible cutting corners.
You could have
a
breakout year, you know,
or you have a honey hole.
Yeah, you know, you just all of a sudden all the stars align right, just perfect for that 1 year, and you have a breakout year, and you can't make one wrong decision. But you're gonna run into a day where you're not gonna tag that guy out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just how it is. So when people, that's what pisses me off the most, is they get mad when I say I run about 80 to 85% success rate, and they are like, "How come you're not 100?" And it's just like, because it's hunting.
Because you don't hunt the snow.
That's true too. Even when I ran the snow, I wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
Robert Chase must watch YouTube. The AK-50. Brandon Herrera over in Texas.
Is that a 308? What is it? No, 74 is a 308, right?
No, it's a 50 cal AK he just built. It's proprietary. He's like still working the bugs out of it, but he's put it on YouTube a couple times and shot it. It's pretty sweet. It's a big freaking gun though.
Everybody, I remember, like, everybody kind of bitches about Glock. I love Glock. I had no problems with my Glock. I've seen one time in my life a Glock failed, and I was in a living room, and we were clipping bullets, and a piece of the copper fell. It was just one of them things that never happened. Fell in the trigger, and we had to dig it out. But if you go on YouTube and look up Crazy Bob, and he just put 300 rounds through a Glock. He takes a fully automatic Glock. I think it's 45. And he just keeps throwing 30 round magazines in. Is she flashing you again?
Maybe.
We know that look now, Rowdy. We know that look.
Well,
and your wife
can't help it. She's laughing at me now.
Yes, she knows now. 30, 30s. And then he takes like 150 round drum and puts it in that Glock, and he fires he just nonstop 300 rounds to that Glock. You know,
that's crazy.
Sounds like it got hot.
He kept firing. I've seen him take that AK-47 and fire drums out of it until it's on fire, and they just keep firing it. They're like trying to destroy it,
melting barrels.
So here's my other preach. Since I'm a preacher, I'm gonna preach it. Is AK-47, because who shoots AK-47?
You know, Chinese and the Russians.
Everybody. Every one of our enemies. I think the only other person I've seen with the AR-15s is the Royal Guard.
Yeah.
The British.
Yeah. And they're probably ours anyways. But everybody shoots an AK. Everybody. So if we get took over by Russians or Chinese like everybody thinks, what do they got? They got AKs. So why not have an AK?
I'm not a gun guy, so I'm kind of half retarded on this, but aren't AKs just stamped together almost?
They're stamped and milled. Some are cheap, but you can still pick up an AK for, I don't know. I've seen them for 700. But I mean, but you can get an AR-15 for, you go to Palmetto State Armory, shameless plug, and get a AR-15 for $500. Yeah, I just don't like them. I don't like them. I never have. You know, I'll take the AK any day of the week. I've cleaned mine since I bought it in 1996 or 7. I think I've cleaned it 3 times.
Oh gosh.
They're bomb proof. They're bomb proof. They're easy to take apart, and they're easy to manipulate to really shoot fast. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
There you go.
I seen a thing where a guy put a wire in there and he had a key ring on the back, and you'd pull that, and it would go fully automatic. So
That's I remember. So the old AKs or not the old ARs, you could do something like that and turn them fully auto, right?
it's all that selector switch. It's all easy. The
Yeah.
problem is when you look it up now on the
'Cause
internet, you got to be
I
careful.
remember being
They
a
put
kid.
you on a watch list.
Yep.
I remember being a kid, and if you had the Gen 1 or the Gen 2 Benelli Super Black Eagle automatic shotgun,
Mhm.
you could bump fire that shotgun.
Hmm.
And when we were snow goose hunting, if you had one of those shotguns, you were king at snow goose hunting because, you know, when you're snow goose hunting, you can have 10, 12 mag extender, round mag extender on your shotgun for spring snow geese. And them birds would come in and circle and sit on your face at 10 feet. And next thing you know, that one guy comes out of the blind and says, bah, 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 and he shoots all 12 before I got 3 off.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, man. And he just put a hole in the air with that thing. You know, you got 15,000 snow geese at 10 yards, 20 yards, and he shoots 12 shots in a 30-inch circle. Just a hole.
I know. Arkansas.
Just birds raining down.
Yeah, Arkansas has like unlimited geese season. You can shoot as many as you want.
Yeah, for the
All
snow
those snow geese.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's they're so damn smart. They're hard to decoy, but if you get everything to match up right and the gods are looking down on you,
you can get some.
God, you can have a day.
I get a lot of snow geese down here in Arizona. Actually,
Yeah. I
not
know
a lot,
down
but
here.
they land here a lot.
Yeah. I get
Is he
nothing
alright?
down this far south.
Any guy that don't want an A10 warthog has
He's
to
gay.
be a girl. Has to be a girl.
I like just getting on YouTube and listening to the burp.
I could make a list, a playlist, and just go to sleep to that.
There you go.
I love watching it when over in Iraq when they're just freaking lighting up Toyota pickups.
Did you see the holes in the car?
Yeah, that's that.
Ridiculous.
It's like a 20 millimeter round.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're shooting like, was it 3,000 rounds a minute or something?
Oh,
of a 20
yeah.
millimeter. Incredible.
Yep.
Yeah.
When those guys got hit with that, the lights just went out. They didn't feel anything.
It's like shooting a squirrel with a 30-06. It's just,
Yeah.
Completely.
Just a mist.
Yep.
All righty. Next week, let's talk about outlaws. Talk about all the outlaws. Let's dig up a bunch of outlaws.
Sounds good.
We got.
You betcha.
Yep.
Maybe I'll get Claude Dallas on.
If you can find him, I'd love to talk to that guy.
Wouldn't that be cool just to have him tell his story? I'm not saying what he did is right, but I'd like to hear his side of it.
He's still in Milwaukee.
You know,
last I heard.
What really happened in his version?
Yep.
I'm sure everybody would hate me for it, but
then we go pack sand.
Yep. I'll bring Benny on to protect me.
He's a hero in Northern Nevada. There's a lot of guys that still say he was right.
Well, you know, when you have a bad reputation, whether you're on the right side or left side of the fence, whether you're an outlaw or not, you know.
Yeah, you're gonna have people that like you.
You're gonna have people that like you. You can people that don't like you. So, a law. What is the law? Missy said. What is the law?
Oh, I've heard of the law. It's something automatic weapon. No, I've heard of the law.
I'll have to look it up, Missy.
Yeah. I have to look it up because now I don't remember.
Look up Claude Dallas, Robert Chase. Robert Chase, you ask a lot of questions. Do you hunt?
Fed.
What do you do? Is he just a looky-loo coming in to learn some stuff? Claude Dallas. Bear Grease. Didn't they do a...
He's got a bunch of podcasts out on him.
Yeah. Look up Bear Grease podcast. They did I tell you what, Clay Newcomb does a good job.
I think it's called the Ot6 Ranch podcast. They did a podcast on him, and they had one of the guys that lived up in that area, and his family knew Claude, and all the ranches around knew Claude, and they interviewed that guy, and that was pretty cool. That was a good podcast of the whole thing.
And you never heard of Claude Dallas, Robert? I guess I didn't hear about him until last year. Claude Dallas. Look him up.
Yep. He's been hunting lions longer than I've been alive. No. Almost.
Well, he started before we were alive.
Yeah.
Took a hiatus
Yeah.
there.
Claude Dallas. Look him up. Claude Dallas. I don't even know how to spell his name. Let me put it here so you know. Claude. I think Dallas.
It's common spelling.
Yeah.
Claude. Claude.
Yep. And then Dallas.
It's-
is the same one.
Yep.
Dallas, Texas.
Bear Grease has a good podcast. There's so many podcasts on him.
Yeah.
So, gosh dang. Troy. We'll talk about all them guys. You know who's really, Bear Grease did another one on old Luella. What was those guys' name? Like they were turkey poachers and they never got
really?
caught. Let me tell you something about Arizona. Let me tell you something about all your game and fish right now. They got a lot of undercovers.
Oh,
because they make more money on the undercovers than they will off a fishing citation. So I will guarantee you that every unit in everybody's state has one or two undercovers that can work it.
Yep.
And those guys are getting good.
Oh, yeah. They do the deep fake. Like, they live in the community for a couple of years.
Well, that's how what's his face got busted. Down south on the border for them sheep deals.
Clump, John Clump.
Yep. That's how
They'll
he got
get you.
busted.
If they want to get you, they'll get you. They won't get me. They'll never get me. They tried to get me, but I'm always paranoid already.
Smart.
I'm paranoid already. So,
Come here, boy.
you know, when you do bad things in your past, you always look over your shoulder no matter what.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, next week we'll outlaw talk it.
Yeah.
I'll look up a bunch.
I got to go get a boy. He's just woke up from his nap and he's crying.
Oh, shoot.
All righty. Thanks for coming on.
Yep.
All right.
See
Have
ya.
a good, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Next week. Later.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Thank you guys for jumping on. Practice on dead things. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys coming on. Everybody staying on. I try to have a topic, but I feel like we never really stick to our topic too much. But we try. You can listen to this on podcast now. If you just go to Spotify or your Apple podcast, whatever it's called, under either the Chris Watson Project or Freecasted. If you look up either one of those, the Chris Watson Project, I'm going to have a bunch of other podcasts on. I'm going to start doing some private investigator podcasts, so that will go on that too. And interview stories and tales. I'm going to start downloading some of our Monday night lives and put it on the podcast as well. So Spotify or Apple, go check it out. The Chris Watson Project, or you can look up Freecasting too. The Chris Watson Project can have everything on it. But I do enjoy you guys coming on. Make sure you guys go to SaveTheHuntColorado.com because Initiative 91 did go to the ballot initiative, which is just BS. So give them $10, guys. Hound Rendezvous, if you guys want to come, let me know. Anecdote of a houndsman at outlook.com. I've had a couple people email me. I'm getting better at checking my email. August 24th by Young, Arizona, Reynolds Creek Campground. We'll start posting. Check out my Facebook, Anecdote of a Houndsman. I'll have it on there. Just look up Anecdote of Hounds on Facebook, and I'll start posting all this good stuff. Other than that, thanks, guys, for coming, and we will see you next week. Monday. We're going to be talking about Outlaws Monday on Brett's show, and we're going to continue it on Wednesday. So we'll see how it goes. Unless I get a guest. See if I can find an outlaw guest. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Stay out of trouble.